right. And welcome to Across the Bar with thisisclos. Thisisclos being me. And today we have old friend that I haven't seen in a really, really long time. We were just talking about that. Monique de la Torre.
Yes, space.
See, spaces. No, we were just talking about how people always ask you whether it's all one. What do people care so much about, like names and stuff like that?
I don't know. I think they're just trying to write it correctly or pronounce it correctly.
Do you want to know what my full name is? And you know what's so I was born in Mexico, right?
Okay.
And in Mexico, the tradition is you get everybody's fucking last name, right? Like you get your parents, and then like from both sides, and then their parents. Like my Mexican birth certificate's pretty fucking wild. Here in America, it's just Carlos. I may have even added Enrique to it. Carlos Enrique Hernandez.
Like, is that part of your name, or you just
No.
it?
No. It's totally part of my name.
Okay.
But in Mexico, it's... I'm going to switch up accents too, by the way, which we're going to be doing a lot in this podcast. We're going to be switching up accents.
Okay, let's do that.
Because we're going to talk about your new business venture.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, my full name is Carlos Enrique Hernandez de la Calleja Molina y Betancourt.
Holy shit.
That's like everybody's mom in that family.
I need a drink.
Yeah, cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Sipping old fashions.
Right.
Why not? But anyway, let's kind of like jump into it. So I was seeing online that you were posting that you started a new company, right?
I did.
Yeah. What's the name of it, and what are you selling me?
I'm not selling you anything, but so I created a company called Magia de Tierra. So basic earth magic.
Yeah.
I've dabbled with a lot of like holistic and homeopathic stuff over the years.
Yeah.
Probably for the last 18 years here and there. And before the pandemic hit, I was intentionally like just looking for a brick and mortar place. And I really wanted to open up a tea shop, but that was also like herbal wellness, just all over holistic stuff. And thankfully I didn't.
Yeah, talk about dodging a bullet. I mean, I feel so bad for, so many. Imagine buying a bar. So we party in Long Beach all the time, and so there was a bar for sale. I think it was called like the Red Room or something like that.
Okay.
And the guy, our mutual friend Mike, he would DJ there.
Yep.
So they got new management. They're like, all right, this is it. We're going to revitalize this place. I mean, that old Red Room bar that's all, has meth heads and crack heads and every kind of head in there, and get them all out. This is going to be like the new spot. 3 weeks later, close everything down.
Oh, it's crazy. So many people are out of business. It's extremely sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
So, I mean, that's a huge bullet to dodge.
I was seriously like, whoa.
Yeah. And so were you already like in the process of like looking at locations and things like that?
I had already found a location, and I was in the process of getting the stuff with the city organized to figure out licensing and stuff like that for the city. And I talked to the real estate agent, and he was like, okay, everything is good to go. He pulled all the permits and stuff for me and was like, this is pretty much everything's here. And about a week later, things started happening with the pandemic, and I'm like, okay, maybe I need to pump my brakes.
Did you instinctually kind of pump your brakes? Like, hey, let's kind of wait this out?
I called him back and was like, okay, I've decided I'm going to wait because I don't really know what's happening right now. And I was like, do I really want to put my savings into something when I can just kind of be patient? Which I'm not one for being patient, but this was definitely one of those moments. So I did. I waited. I'm glad I did. I actually shifted directions and went into doing more like farmers markets, pop-ups. I actually created my website online so that you can purchase directly from my website.
Oh, really?
Everything
Okay.
ships because it's made from, everything's plant-based. So I can ship things. And so, so I've just been doing a lot of online sales and through my website, which has been a blessing.
And how you mentioned, so can you not ship like if it was actual dairy? Or
Well, I mean, you can, but it is perishable. You do
okay.
with postal service, you do have to worry about how long it takes to get to a certain place. If it takes 5 to 7 days, you have to worry about keeping things cold for long periods of time, which I do ship everything with cold packs.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a little bit more cautious if you are shipping with dairy.
All right, so let me see. You brought some goodies over here, and I see Magia de Tierra, 100% organic. Let it go. So this is chamomile, lavender, elderflower, goldenrod, passion flower, lemon balm, monk fruit, and erythritol. What's erythritol?
It's actually a sweetener that's made from corn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then it says sugars or it's vegan too.
Everything's vegan and keto friendly.
And then this one says stress and anxiety blend.
Yes.
And then you have, this looks delicious, by the way. You have plant-based Thai tea.
Yes, that was actually created for a pop-up I did with a friend.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has a company called thisisclos Masubi.
Okay.
And they are a Masubi company based out of LA.
So for those that don't know what Masubi is, it is the rice with Spam and seaweed, right?
Yes.
Freaking delicious.
So good.
Yeah, I like to make those and just like put them in the fridge and like before I go, I just grab them. So anyway, so you have a friend that...
Yeah, so they have a pop-up that they do called thisisclos Masubi, and she had been craving Thai tea, and they were doing these little plant-based boxes, and she wanted to incorporate a Thai tea that was plant-based into them.
Yeah.
So I created that one for them, and it actually is it's one of our good sellers.
All right. And then we have something that looks like Jamaica.
Yes.
Organic hibiscus. See, I called it. Is that the only thing that gives that color? Red plum,
It is
organic
pretty
sweet
intense.
cinnamon, cassia chips, organic ginger. Okay. So the ginger is going to give it that little kick,
yeah.
right? I love these. You know, I usually get something like this from like a fresh pressed juicery or a salud juicery. That's something super similar to this. So I can't wait to try this one. And then the big one that I want to make cocktails out of this is horchata.
Yes.
What is this?
Everybody loves that one. So it's just a spin on your traditional horchata.
Yeah.
But it's made with oat milk and sweet true cinnamon chips. And
Can I try this?
Yeah,
I'm going
go
to try
for it.
this.
Yeah, shake it good though, because it's plant-based oat milk. So, anyways, it's
Let's get that ASMR on here.
Yeah, so it's made with black tea. So it still is a tea.
I trust your seal. That was
The
sturdy.
ASMR?
Yeah.
Crunch.
Oh my God, that's delicious.
Yeah, everyone loves that guy.
Oh my gosh.
And it's good for you.
Yeah, I've been trying to get off dairy. I grew up drinking milk, like most people. But I think my parents took it a little further. I was one of those strange kids where it's like, I'd come home from playing, I'm like, oh my God, it's hot. And my dad would be like, oh, no problem. I got you. Cold milk.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really drink a lot of milk in my household. Not big milk drinkers. Plus, I became like lactose intolerant. I guess it's a thing that when you get old, because I'm old now.
Why is that happen that as you get older, just weird shit starts coming up?
You start falling apart.
Yeah.
Slowly.
But I mean, you know what? In the scheme of things that you could be intolerant about or allergic to, I feel like that's okay one. Like,
Well, I mean, is dairy, like, are we really supposed to drink cow's milk? Or is that intended for, like, baby cows?
oh, you want this, huh? You want this conversation.
I want it.
All right. See, I was just
I
about
mean, we're intended to have cheese, I feel.
look, I was almost over the fence. See, you had me this. It tastes delicious. I was like, I don't need milk, but now you brought that conversation.
So you need milk now?
No, I get it that yes. That's the argument, right? They're like, oh, like we're the only species that like drinks another, but okay. Have you seen a dog give it cow's milk? It loves it. It's like, blah, 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 blah.
I mean,
Number 2 argument.
wait, was that the first one? The dog thing? The
Yes,
dog
that
thing?
just give a dog, a cat, or any other thing milk. They love it.
Okay.
They're not just like, oh, this is not mom cat milk.
Yeah.
Number 2, we're also the only species with iPads. We change it up. It's okay.
That's why we're drinking oat milk now.
No, but I think
Changed
this is
it
great
up.
because I mean I know so many people that have that, and I'm not sure if it's just with the way that you know the cows get treated, what they eat, and all that shit that is probably not natural to us, you know, to our bodies, and that's why people develop an intolerance to it. Because now I'm also a doctor, thanks to YouTube. But these are great alternatives, you know, because it still has a great taste. It's not as thick too. Because that's what I was thinking about the horchata one is that, okay, this probably going to feel like a shake. So I'll probably have one in the morning and then that's it.
Yeah.
But it's really smooth where like I could pound a couple.
And I don't know if you've had oat milk by itself.
Yeah.
Oat milk, in my opinion, is very similar to cow's milk. It doesn't have that overly sweet or like that unnatural like.
Like almond.
Milk.
Yeah.
Milk, almonds are naturally sweet, so yes, they're gonna have that almond-like flavor when you drink nut milks.
Yeah.
But oat milk doesn't have that. It's very milk-like, so it doesn't really change the flavor too much of the horchata. It kind of just enhances it and gives it that natural milky.
So, kind of like to rewind a bit, I guess what got you interested in this in particular?
Because you can find tea people everywhere. So, I mean, I do sell loose leaf teas.
Oh, you do? You do sell as well?
I sell, all the blends are made in loose leaf as well. So I sell the same blends loose leaf. But when I started doing like farmers markets and pop-ups and things like this, I mean, what really sets me apart from any other loose leaf company out there? And I was like, well, you know, I could just brew my own teas and brew my own blends, which makes it accessible to people who are shopping or whatever. They can just kind of grab a tea, taste it, sample it, and then decide maybe I want to buy that in a loose leaf blend and brew it up on my own. So that's kind of where the bottled stuff came in.
So was it like you were a fan of just tea in general? You love teas?
Herbs in general.
Yeah.
I mean, leave it to me and I'll be like in a bathtub soaking in herbs. You know, I'm a little crazy like that. But yeah, so I mean, just herbs.
That's the next flavor right there. Yeah. Monique bath water, bath blend.
I'll sell you a bottle.
So you're a fan of teas, and then did you start kind of like experimenting on your own? Like, if I mix, chamomile with this and this, it gives it a certain flavor. Or
I mean, you have to work out flavors, but you also want to work with herbs that do certain things for the body. For instance, the antioxidant blend, super rich in antioxidants. The ginger is, the hibiscus is, and so is the red plum. And it has anti-inflammatory benefits. So you can't go wrong with something like that. You just have to make sure that the herbs that you're using are designed specifically for those uses. So, but coming up with the flavors, I mean, obviously I had to sit there and brew a bunch of stuff and be like, this one tastes like garbage. I wouldn't really consume that. So yeah, you do have to play with them.
I mean, it's one thing like to get the finished product, because like I said, taste of this, absolutely delicious. But I feel like most people don't know. It's like I'm just picturing you in your house, in your kitchen, with tons of herbs everywhere. And you're like boiling stuff and like tasting it, and like
my kids call it my witch's cauldron. They're like, oh, you're with your witch's pot again, and I'm like.
And then what if it doesn't taste good? Now you have to like toss it all out.
You just start all over again. I mean, I always start in small batch. I brew in small batches just to ensure. And I always, when I'm starting a blend, I definitely start with a smaller pot, kind of tweak the flavors a little bit and see what works. I obviously make sure I measure everything and see how much of what I need. And that will determine flavor at the end. So yeah, I start small batch, and I prefer to brew small batch. I try not to brew more than 10 to 15 teas at a time, just to make sure that the quality
Wow, even that's a lot.
Yeah, just to make sure like the quality is there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can taste the difference. I don't know if you've tried the other two.
Not yet.
But if you try the regular teas, you can taste the difference in comparison to something that's been brewed in like a tea bag.
Oh, really?
Oh, for sure.
What would be like I'm not too much of a tea person.
A lot of people are not.
I know. I blame it's Big Coffee. I think Big Coffee has put its stake on everybody else. Because I feel like if you go to a lot of different countries, like they're really into it.
Yeah. Coffee's big everywhere.
You want to hear a cute little story? So I went, how I actually started to want to get into tea. So this might have been maybe like 4 years back. I went to China for a trip for work, right? And so funny. So I was helping out one of the musicians that I was working with, and I think they needed something. I think they needed like a violin bow or just some sort of random music instrument thing that if it was here in LA, I'd just go like to Guitar Center or Sam Ash or something like that. Super simple, right? But I'm in China, so I'm like, fuck, like where do I get this stuff? And so I go downstairs to the lobby, and I'm like, hi, I'm just wondering if you know anywhere where I can get a violin bow. And they're just staring at me. They're like, do you know what he's saying? I mean, it's a hotel. Anyway, skip over that. Whatever the reason was, they didn't understand me. Anyway, they finally called.
I'm guessing it was the language barrier.
I know, but you're like at the Hyatt Hotel,
Yeah, I should speak a little English.
Maybe. It speaks. I tried Spanish.
Oh my
Nothing. God. Because maybe it's like a American thing, right? I'm like, oh, hey, I'm not American anymore. I'm speaking Spanish. No. So they called somebody, and then they're like, I was doing this thing, like this. It's like violin. I'm like, yes, violin. And I'm like, okay, as long as he gives me a place where I can go get a violin, they'll have a bow. Yeah, whatever. So I'm like, can you write this down so that I can give it to the cab driver, right? So I get in the cab, and I give him this little piece of paper, and he's like, oh, okay. And so we're driving, and the hotel was at where like a lot of the touristy stuff is at. So I definitely started seeing the change where less tourists and less tourists and less tourists to no tourists. And now we've been driving for like about 40 minutes. I'm like, fuck. I mean, this is, what city do you live in?
Monterey Park.
Yeah, Monterey Park.
China.
Yeah, pretty much. So it'd be like your drive over here, where you're like, this is far. And I'm like, okay, but it doesn't matter. I have the address of the hotel so I can get back. And it drops me off in a neighborhood that I was like, oh, this is where they get all the postcards of China. Like, it's like China as fuck, as China as you can get. With the China flags outside the door. I mean, the whole thing. People on bikes. Yeah, like people on bikes. There was that's chickens in little coops. So I was like, oh shit, this is where you get all the imagery from. And he drops me off, and he's like, he just kind of points like over there. They all looks like houses to me. There's like, I was expecting like a Guitar Center or something like that. Yeah. So I get off and I just start wandering around. And I finally find the Violin Shop, right? So I go in there, but this Violin Shop, I'm pretty sure has been around since the year 900, right? It's just like old. That's really cool. Yeah, like super old, traditional. I'm pretty sure there was a guy in the back making violins, right? And so I'm looking around, and they're kind of just letting me look. And look at the price tags, and it's fucking like $20,000. Like, it's like legit antique violins. Oh, so I was like, Bo, right?
They're like 9,000. We got you.
They don't even sell it.
Oh my
like,
god! What?
So I'm like, fuck. All right, I got to figure this out at some point. But this is a bust. Like, I'm way too far. I should have been somewhere in the city, like where there's around stuff. So anyway, so I'm walking because I want to get to like the main street, and people are just kind of looking at me like, obviously he's lost. And then this lady comes out of the shop, and she's like, hi. I was like, oh, hey. And she's like, oh, would you like to try some tea? And I'm like, no, I'm okay. Thank you very much. It's like, oh, okay, no problem. Have a good day. And in English, by the way. And I keep walking, and I'm like, Carlos, don't be stupid. Like, she's
You're
literally.
In China.
I'm in China. And the only person to speak to me in English this whole time and understands me is offering me tea. Like, just fucking go do it. So I ran back over there. And I'm like, hi, actually, I forgot, I actually have time. So yeah, let me, let's do like a tea tasting or something like that. And she was like, oh yeah, or do you like tea? I'm like, you know what? Treat me like as if I've never had tea before, And she's like, okay. And so a lot of her tea is from the village that she is from. So it was really cool. She had me try maybe 10 different teas. And then I was like, okay, thank you so much. How much is this? She's like, no. I asked you, do you want to try some tea? I want you to try so you can be familiar with it. This is totally free. Now I feel like shit, right? Because now
you have to buy some tea.
Now I have to buy some tea, but I'm like, after being traumatized by the violin situation, and she's telling me that this is brewed from her village. I don't know how much tea goes for. I don't know how much tea goes for in China. And then the one of them that I tried, I think it was something like a 1,000-year-old black tea or something like that. 1,000-year-old anything means money. Yeah. So I was like, oh, but you know what? I would like to take something home, something small, because I'm not sure if they're gonna let it through, and I don't want it to go bad. And she's like, and if you could tell me what the prices are in dollars, that'd be great. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. And she's like, well, this one that you just tasted was $20. This one's 35. The 1,000-year-old one I think was $60 or something like that.
That's really cheap.
Yeah. So I was like, oh,
wait, for a pound, right?
I don't know. She had it in packages or something. But I was like, oh, we're in business. Oh, I thought you were going to hit me with thousands of dollars. I'm like, I'll take this one. I take this one. I take this one. So I bought a whole bunch of stuff from her. And then she gave me a free little pot to brew on little tiny cute ones. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, every year she reaches out to me on WeChat. And she's like, hey, Carlos, just want to see if, you have, if you need any more tea or anything like that. Or she sends me Happy New Year stuff. So,
nice.
So that made me
you have
really,
a tea plug.
Yeah, I have a tea plug, the legit tea plug. During the whole COVID outbreak, we're messaging each other back and forth. I'm like, oh, is this okay to talk about? I don't want the government freaking shutting you down. Right. I don't know what goes on over there. But that really kind of started me wanting to get into tea. And specifically, that's what kind of interested me in having you on, because I noticed that you were doing that. And I'm starting to see these things more and more. Are you only through your website right now, or do you do Instagram as well?
I do local pickup. I do pop-ups. I do farmers markets once in a while. You can buy directly from my Instagram or directly through my website.
What's your Instagram?
It's Magia de Tierra Organics.
Okay. Yeah, I'll post all that stuff on the channels and stuff like that, so people can link into it. But kind of a little bit background around you. Where are you from originally? I don't even know that.
From LA.
Yeah. What part?
I was born in East LA.
East Los. Okay.
Yeah, I was born in East LA. Lived all over LA. Ended up in Long Beach in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Well, late teens, early 20s. Lived in Long Beach for a while. Moved to the Midwest. Moved to the East Coast.
Wait, you moved to the Midwest?
I did.
Where?
Ohio.
What? How did that come about?
Oh, God. Relationships. Yeah, I got married young.
Oh, no, wait. What? I didn't know you were married.
Yeah, I was married.
You did it for love, though. That's romantic.
I moved for love.
Yeah.
Or what I thought was love. Yeah.
I'm assuming he was from Ohio.
He was from Ohio originally.
Now, was he visiting, or he lived here too?
He was here. He was in the military, based in Camp Pendleton.
Uh-huh.
And I met him through a really good friend of mine, and one thing led to another. I ended up getting married, moved to Ohio.
How long were you engaged for? This seems like it wasn't a very long engagement.
It was not a long engagement. It was kind of hey, are you down? I'm down. Do you want to get married?
This is wild, young Monique. Huh?
Oh my God, yeah. If anyone knows me in my late teens, early 20s, definitely very Monique-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy times. Nonetheless,
So what did you?
Experience.
How old were you back then?
I think I was like 21.
So
21,
20,
22 when I got married.
21, 22-year-old from LA. At this point, you should be living it up, tearing LA up and Long Beach.
I think I've already tore it up at this point.
Were you a young bloomer?
I was.
Yeah.
I had my daughter.
Did you start
when I was
partying pretty
18,
young?
So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start partying?
Oh Lord, 16, 17. I mean, I grew up in LA and Northeast, like LA, so Highland Park area. We partied young. We all had a good time. It was.
I wasn't cool
fast
enough to party
paced.
young.
You're cool to party now, though.
Yeah, it took me a while, and I feel like might be making up for lost time. But yeah, like during high school, I think because a lot of people like have like their first drinks in high school, or like the parents go away and they're like, oh yeah, come over and like we'll get fucked up.
Cabinet.
Yeah, no, I was just like that could get you in trouble. Like if
You're
your
like,
parents,
I was told not to
yeah,
do
if
that.
your parents are telling you that you shouldn't be drinking while they're gone, you probably shouldn't do it. And it's so funny because even then, I think I must have been 20 when I had my first drink, and it was fucking terrible.
Your first ones always are. That's the thing.
Well,
like, why do we continue to do it?
you know what? I don't feel like that young people now will go through that because of how popular craft cocktails are now. There's like, oh, what's your first drink? Oh, I had some sort of fucking mojito with like lavender oil and fucking
like
basil mint leaf.
Kombucha. It was 5%.
Yeah, exactly. But no, my so actually it was that same scenario. Friends, parents went out of town. I think so I was like 20 at that point. And the girl I was dating at the time, she's like, yeah, come over. Like, she's bringing her boyfriend over. We're just going to party it up. So I go over there, and of course I become the weirdo. It's like, can you believe Carlos has never had a drink?
Oh, no. Peer pressure.
And of course what happens, everybody decides like, no, we're going to get you to fucking drink. I was like, you know what? I'll save you guys a fucking thing. It's not because some weird religious shit. It's not because of like, I'm traumatized by my alcoholic father that would beat me. That's not true, by the way. I'm just saying.
I would be a little traumatized from that.
You're Hispanic and Italian. I feel that was part of growing up.
I mean, what was a beating really, though?
Exactly. There's levels,
I have 3 kids. They have no idea what a beating was.
So then so then I'm like, I'll save you guys the trouble. Give me whatever you want. It's like, all right. Well, we're drinking Goldschlager. Yeah, see, I told you it was terrible.
151.
Yeah. No. It was like, oh, we have Goldschlager and then we're drinking Bacardi. I'm like, give it to me.
Oh my God.
And so, of course, I'm trying to prove a point here because they're all calling me a pussy and shit for not drinking. And I get the Goldschlager and I'm like, gurgle, 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 gurgle. I drink like half the bottle. I pound half the bottle. And I'm like, see? Told you. No fucking big deal.
Hit the floor.
What's this Bacardi thing? Oh, my parents drink that stuff. You got Coke with it? Yeah. All right. Start pouring my drink. Bacardi, Bacardi, Bacardi. Splash of Coke. Pound it. No big.
Yeah. I was expecting you to hit the floor after the Goldschlager.
From a diabetic coma. But that was my first, and I woke up the next day.
Yeah.
I was like, and I was just like, this is terrible. Who does this? I'm like, this is stupid. And so, so then it was probably about another year because I was just like, okay, yeah, who does that? That's just dumb. Why would I do that to myself? And I think I was working at Best Buy at the time. And I had a awesome manager named Shalita who since has passed, bless her heart. But she was like, Carlos, you don't drink? I'm like, it's okay. I had a really bad experience, but I don't really get it. It's like, oh man, now that you're 21, you got to go with us every Friday. We go to Chili's across the street from Lakewood Mall every Friday, and we have and we just have drinks there after work. Talk shit about our bosses. I'm like, I like the second part.
I'm in.
Yeah. And so she makes it a thing like, hey, we're gonna go this Friday to Chili's for Carlos because my birthday landed on a Friday. So there's like 30 people there. And again, the same fucking thing. Like, oh my God, he doesn't fucking drink. Let's get him shots. Let's get him 151. Let's get him this. But
You never tell people that you
I
don't
know. That was my second time.
You
Never
should've
again.
learned from the
But
first time.
now that I'm older, though, I should do that because at that point, right, it's like, oh, I don't actually, I've never had a drink. Everybody's gonna be like, let's get this man a drink right now.
You're
Free
like,
drinks.
Free drinks.
Yeah.
And you're pulling the whole Vegas. She's getting married, but
Do girls do that? What?
Done that. Where we were like, okay, so who's
Let's talk
getting
about
married
these
this
girls
weekend?
scams. That
Who's getting married this weekend? It's just a girls' trip to Vegas, but you're like, someone's got to be the bride. Someone's got to be the bride. I mean, you want the free drinks. You want the VIP to the bars and the clubs. So someone's the bride. You just pick who it's going to be.
I wonder that though. I think that can work for guys too. Yeah, like, oh, dude,
Bachelor.
this is our bachelor right here.
Last day.
This is last day.
Last pussy of his life.
Yeah, he's marrying his first, bro. He's marrying his first. So that's it.
Yeah.
Let's get this.
Done.
Yeah. Strip clubs. That work. Oh my God. Gotta try that at strip clubs.
Yeah. Don't post this until you do it.
But luckily the bartender was like, relax, guys. I'm gonna take care of this, right? It's like, all right, actually, since you don't really drink, is there a reason why, like, your father abused you, like when he was an alcoholic?
Yes.
Your mom? No, not at all. It's just I had a bad experience. I told her the Goldschlager story. She's like, oh my God, you poor fucking guy.
Worst alcohol.
Yeah, she's like, no, don't ever drink that. That's trash, And she's like, all right, let's try. Have you ever had a margarita? I'm like, nope. It's like, okay, cool. Let's get you a margarita and try that out. And then the next one's like, all right, let's get you a Jack and Coke. So basically, she fucked me up that night, but I got to taste like maybe like 6 different drinks, and so I got it, to see like more or less like what I like.
Day, like a day that you decided you really, really liked one or the other.
Yes.
I'm taking you for a whiskey guy.
Yeah.
Hence the
the old
whiskey.
fashioned. I like it because it's simple.
It is.
And
It's such a manly drink too. I mean, I didn't start drinking scotch or whiskey till probably about 5 years ago. And at first, I was a vodka girl, tequila. I mean, I drank tequila in my 20s till, couldn't remember much. But whiskey and scotch really have grown on me in the last 5 years.
Aren't you glad that you got all that wildness out of the way when you were young?
I am.
Because you said
I'm also glad that I had kids really young.
You know what? It's maybe an unpopular opinion, but like, especially now that I'm older, and then I know more people with kids.
Yeah.
It seems that's the way to go.
Honestly, I'm like my daughter.
If you can have them at 16, do it.
Like my daughter's about to graduate high school. Like, how fucking crazy is that?
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
Okay.
I have a 17-and-a-half-year-old. Actually, she'll be 18 in April.
Jeez,
and then I
crazy.
have my son is 14, and my youngest one is 8.
Okay.
Going on like 15. So
you got about 10 more years on you.
Yeah, but I'm like, I see the light. I totally see the light. I'm like, she has her driver's license. She has a job. Like, she's becoming more independent. I'm like, okay, 1 down, 2 more to go. I see friends who are just starting out with their first kid, and they're like in their like late 30s, mid 30s, and I'm like, ugh. Like, I don't know that I would even have the energy to do that shit all over again.
Big time.
Yeah, plus they're fucking expensive. Like, they're like, okay, 3 iPads. Like, really? 3 iPhones.
Yeah, because they can't share it all. So yeah.
3 iPads, 3 iPhones, 3 laptops. Like, okay, it gets crazy.
Yeah, like, and it's so funny because like, most of them, like the mothers that I know that had them young, right now they're just like on the calendar, like, whoo, we're almost there, baby. Yeah. They're still young, look great. They're getting ready to do all the things that they put on pause. Yeah. To do, and then the people that are having kids older, stress,
Yeah.
because now they're managing, between like their career and then raising kids, and now it's even more expensive now than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago even, and then all the kids want all the tech and all this stuff, and they just seem like super stressed, and
it's a lot to handle, especially I think as you get older, your stress levels are not you haven't had to deal with a lot of stress that comes from kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe your friends didn't have kids, or maybe you weren't really around them too much.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't know how to handle all of that. So now you're in your late 30s, early 40s, and you're having kids. Now you're like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, you know, when I was younger, it was like you just kind of like jumped in, adapted to it. Plus, when I had my oldest, like, we were both kids together.
Yeah.
We kind of grew up together. She's been there through all the crazy shit that I've done.
Yeah, because there's no manual, you know, on how to do this
Plus,
right.
I was way more fun when I was like 21 and like playing wiffle ball in the middle of the street with my 2-year-old or 3-year-old. Like, so it was a different dynamic.
And how did you, like, I guess, manage being so young, wanting to do all these things, and then also having a kid? Were you lucky enough where it could be like, hey, Mom, can you babysit for the weekend or something like that? Or
a blessing.
Yeah.
My mom definitely stopped a lot of her stuff and like lived with me for a while, babysat when my daughter was in preschool. Like, my mom, till this day, my mom is like amazing with her grandkids. So I've always been fortunate enough to have my mom to fall back on. So yeah, my mom was a big help. Yeah,
no, that's really good, because I can only imagine, you know, because I know there are so many people in that situation where they don't have like a support. And I think, I wonder, like, what does that do for your development? Because like your 20s is kind of the time where you develop so much, you know, you learn, you make a lot of mistakes. Hopefully you learn from them. You go through heartbreaks, and in your case, marriages, you know, you go through a lot of that stuff. And, I'm not sure what would be like how you do that so young.
You know what I mean? I didn't always have the easiest of life. I mean, like I said, I grew up in LA. Shit was rough. My parents had addiction problems. I wasn't always, you know, you come from hardship.
I'm glad I went the beat route instead of addiction route.
Yeah. So you learn to, you know, hardships eventually turn into this thing where they're like, okay, very minuscule in your life. You know, and they're life lessons, their experiences. You learn from them, you grow from them, you mature faster than most people. A lot of people who don't go through things like that don't really understand what it's like to be on your own, or to have to fend for yourself, or do things for yourself, or to have that hustler vibe.
Yeah. Do you have siblings?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Are they older or younger than you?
Oh, there is a total of 9 of us.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's just from my mom. I have 2 from my dad, so there's a total of 11.
Jeez.
She was busy.
Now when you say the addiction, I know what they're addicted to. Jesus.
I'm going to drink that one.
I'm sorry, were you the oldest, or where do you land in with all of them? You're in the middle?
I was the middle, yeah. I was the 4th one.
And then, you know, going with like a challenging upbringing, did you have to be kind of like the mom role early in life, or like to your younger siblings, or was there somebody else?
As we all kind of grew up, like my older siblings definitely took on that role when it came to like me and my sister. And then as me and my sister got older, and my older 2 siblings, my brother and my sister, kind of started doing their own thing and had their own jobs and stuff. Me and my sister Mia took care of my younger siblings, and then, you know, it just kind of was like, you know, there's 9 of us.
Yeah.
Just kind of keep passing this role.
That's a little village right there.
Yeah. It's like everyone does chores. Everyone helps. Everyone picks up from school. Everyone walks each other to school. It was kind of like you just had that role of like, you're instantly a mom.
Yeah. how was that hard on you? Because there's some people that like really naturally, like, yeah, they're kind of.
I don't think it was hard. I think it's something like that is very naturally embedded into some people, and I think for us, it was just natural. Those are our siblings. You take care of each other, and I mean, still even now, like, we don't always get along, but we're still family. You take care of each other.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's just who you are. It's kind of.
Yeah, no,
part of your DNA in a sense.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, you know, you can tell right away there's some people that are just naturals at that, and then some people are just kind of forced into it, and then they could develop resent. Yeah. You know, towards having to, you know, not have your childhood.
I think I'm just a caretaker, though.
One thing I'm curious is, like, okay, so I'm picturing 9 people living in LA. What mansion did you live in?
The really little one at the corner.
That's a whole
one
lot
where
of people.
You all shared a room.
because and that's another thing about how things are changing
We're
now.
all spread out though, like years apart. So like it was like the first group and then the second group of kids. So we didn't always like all of us lived together. It was like 2 of them went away, and then 2 more came in.
It was like a rotation.
Yeah.
Or your parents,
like,
man. It's like,
Yeah.
just picturing your dad to your mom. We're short 2.
Yeah.
We got to get to work. This army's not going to build itself.
Right.
Yeah, but now that's pretty unheard of, I think, right? Especially in LA. I mean, having a kid alone is kind of a toss-up nowadays.
I feel like nowadays a lot of people don't even want to have kids. They're so caught up. I mean, people in LA especially are so caught up in their like fast-paced, fun, living their best life moments that by the time they realize they're going to have kids, they're really 40 years old. And let's be honest, when you're 40 years old, chances of you being able to have a kid successfully or healthy is like
it gets lower and lower, right?
Those percentage rates are dropping for you. So I think for a lot of people growing up now, it's like, oh, I'm realizing my life is finally slowing down. I'm realizing I really want something more substantial. Now I want to have kids in my 40s. Like it's like definitely different.
Yeah.
You don't find people like that in the Midwest or the East Coast. They like have like this game plan, like I'm going to graduate, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to meet the love of my life, have children, buy a home, like, and they literally do just that. They follow this path of like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do, or this is what was said that I'm supposed to do, so I follow this path.
I mean, back when I was growing up, I mean, that was still around. I mean, and living in LA, I mean, I definitely had that intention where it's like, oh, finish school and then be married by 25, start my family, so you can get a house and all this and all that. But it seems, I agree with you. It for me, it's very rare that people have that as a game plan. Let alone like, just, dogs are now babies, right?
Yeah.
Which are cute. I'm totally about it. Like, but, you know what I think it is?
If I know now what I know, like if I knew then what I know now, I would have 3 dogs. I'm just kidding. I love my kids, but dogs are just easier and they're not as difficult.
I know you're a real mom because you can say shit like that. Because real moms, they'll do this shit like, oh no, I love them. I want to strangle them half the time, but I love them so much.
I love my kids to death, but man, boy, is my dog easier.
Yeah.
My dog is like, he loves me all the time, doesn't talk back. Like, yeah, my dog is just better.
I've had my little high moments where I'm just like, I wonder if my dog could talk, how cool it would be. Because he'd be my boy. Like, hey, let's go to fucking McDonald's. Yeah, let's fucking go. But I'm like, this guy loves food so much. He'd just be annoying. I'm hungry, Dad. I'm hungry. Yeah. I'm hungry, Dad. Can I have a treat, Dad?
It's like your kids go through those phases where they're like going through those growth spurts where they're like every day they're like, I just want a burger. I just want chicken nuggets. And you're like,
you just ate 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm like, you just had a snack.
You know what I think it is? I think actually, I'll ask you a question. Do you think if social media wasn't around that people would be having, would have that thought about like having kids and families and all that good stuff?
If social media wasn't around?
Yeah.
If they would have the thought about having families, I think I think a lot of that comes from how you're raised or what you kind of grew up around, like that whole opinion of like, because I mean, let's be honest, before social media, we were around.
Yeah.
We were around before social media. We were around before Instagram. We were around before Uber. I don't know how we survived.
Aren't you fucking so grateful though that you grew up in then, or are you like, no, I wish I am,
but then there's times where I'm like, man, if we only had Uber back then, like, you know how many places we probably have been like left drunk or like didn't know how we were gonna get home, or like we're like, who do we call at 3 a.m?
Yeah.
Like if we only had Uber. So I mean, part of me is low key grateful for like social media and like technology.
Yeah.
Lord knows we need it.
Well, I feel like we because we grew up not having it, we can appreciate it so much more.
Yeah. My kids they've never known a life without it.
Right.
So when it's like
that's
gone,
weird.
they're like, like Like, what do I do? How do I function? Like, where's Google?
So do you realize that when shit hits a fan, like the power grid goes down and people start eating each other, we're gonna rule, right? You know that we're gonna rule.
Oh, well,
because
we're
half of
the
them are
only
just
ones who can rule.
yeah, because
Clearly, they're gonna come to us, the millennials.
So how did you get around to places without an Uber?
Yeah, you're like
You walk.
Well, yeah, or you picked up your phone or your pager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this
ways.
phone with the cord? How does it work?
I actually went through this.
Can I
thing
unplug it?
Where I drove around for a while to find my 8-year-old didn't know what a payphone was.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, okay, well, where do you find a payphone? I'm like, 7-Eleven. No payphone, only a red box.
Yeah.
So I'm like driving around.
Even that's like, why is that still doing there, right?
I'm like, doesn't everybody have Disney Plus and Netflix?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm driving and like, finally I see a payphone. I pull over. And I'm
Was
like,
it working?
No, there's no phone in it.
Oh, okay.
But I did have to stop and show her, like, this is a payphone. Like, there used to be a phone attached, like, and a phone book, and you can push 0 and call that. And she's like, what? Yeah.
Man, because I remember in high school.
That to an 8-year-old is wild.
I remember in high school, girlfriend would page, because she had her own number.
Does she have a code?
Of course, everybody has their number.
Code?
I don't remember. I may have done something cheesy like 69, because
Yeah. Wait.
But no, I think it was like 11, because like that was her favorite number. Something
because of her legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nervous drink.
That would have been a V. But I remember, you get in the page, and then you have to go to the payphone with your quarters, and you're just chilling there for an hour talking.
People are waiting.
That's happened too, where somebody's, and you're like, hey, like people want to use a phone. Hang up, and you're waiting there for them to finish, and then you go back on. What a fucking weird time.
It didn't seem weird at the time.
No.
Just like call waiting was like a thing. Remember when everyone first got call waiting? How fun was that?
Hold on, I got another call.
It was like beep. Everyone's like, oh, what's that noise at first? And then you're like, hold on, I have a call. I'm cool. I have call waiting.
Did you? Because for me, I mean, that was a big deal, right? Because your normal phone service didn't have
you had
that.
To pay extra for
you had to
call
pay
waiting.
extra, and then I remember me going to my parents like, please, can I get call waiting? Please, what? I'm like, it's beneficial because like, what if somebody calls for you and I'm on the phone? Like,
I think everyone had to spiel that to their parents.
Yeah.
Like, well, if not, it was that whole like, you've been on too long. You need to get off. What if somebody's trying to call me? Like, you need to get off the phone. You've been on for 30 minutes. I'm waiting for a call.
You know how I knew somebody was rich or spoiled? When they're like, oh, I have my own line. I'm like, you motherfuckers. You like your own dedicated line, your own phone number. I'm like, mom, dad,
How about
please.
the long cord? Remember the long cord?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's kind of weird to think that like before we would call somebody's house, and then you'd get like, hi, you've reached Monique. Leave a message. Boop. Hey Monique, just wanted to see like you don't want to go out for some drinks. Yeah, just coming back. It's Carlos, by the way. All right, cool. 7 hours later, Monique gets home. Oh, let's go through my messages. Oh, I guess I missed that. And it was perfectly okay.
Yeah.
It was perfectly okay.
Like freaking out because they missed a call or they didn't answer.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Like, oh, like finally when we got a hold of each other. Oh yeah, I called you the other day. Yeah, sorry I didn't get.
Of it all.
And now it's a like instant, where somebody doesn't text you back. Like, what the fuck?
Well, now everybody's so accessible. Like, I'm going to be honest. I don't know that I want to be fucking accessible to everyone. Maybe sometimes I want to do nothing and not answer anyone's calls. Like,
Yeah, I think we are going to go back to that.
I think a lot of people are really appreciating that quiet moment and that not being accessible to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are kind of regressing back into the like simpler times of like, I don't have to be at everyone's disposal all the time.
It's crazy how things move so fast because like even at work, right? Email is kind of like a thing of the past in the sense of my job, everything's so accessible through like an instant messenger, right? So people just reach out to you like, hey, Carlos, like, I need this thing. And it's like a text message. They want me to reply. And I feel I have to reply then and there. And I thought back to, I'm like, dude, I remember like when things were emails, like, hey, Carlos, I need this. A day could go by and I finally reply and people were just like, okay with it. Yeah. Going back to the whole thing about young people having kids, you know what, the whole social media thing, you know what it is especially living in LA, it's because everybody's just like, oh no, I don't have time for kids, bro. Why? Oh, because of my brand. You know, I'm just trying to build my brand right now.
Also a little selfish these days.
Well,
and it takes a very selfless person to have a kid. You can't be you literally give up everything to have a child. You're selfless. It's the most selfless, what do you really gain from it besides love and like?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, for me, like, if selfish is the word. Like, I feel like we're really self-absorbed, and it's hard to think about creating another creature if you're just so into what you're doing. Like I was saying, like...
Well, yeah, because you're being selfish. Right now, the world is revolving around you. How do you manage to fit somebody else into that? That's why they always say, like, you never know when you're ready to have kids. And when you have them, you, as a mom, you instantly become ready.
Yeah.
It's like, there's something
It just kicks in.
Oh, yeah. The minute you like, oh, I have a baby, you look at it and you're like, I'd do absolutely anything for this little thing. Like, it's...
Yeah.
You never know if you're ready. You just instantly
It sounds like, cliche, but I mean, I hear that all the time.
It's true.
You know, it's like, oh, you know, yeah, you say that you don't have kids now, but once you do, it just like kicks in. You know, because a perfectly normal conversation in 2021 would be like, hey, Monique, like, so do you plan on having kids? And then you would just be like, oh, dude, I just launched this tea company. Are you fucking kidding me? No.
They would ruin it.
Yeah. They would fucking ruin it.
Yeah.
I couldn't be doing your podcast.
Right? Like, they'd ruin it like they ruined my kitchen table.
My freaking $800 kitchen table.
We have this joke in my house where I'm like, I can't have anything nice because I have kids. They seriously are like, wipe their hands. Let me put slime on the table. You're just like, why?
Put slime on the table.
On the couch, slime on the floor. You're like, yeah. So you can't have anything nice.
So who knows where this is going to lead to? But like you're saying, I think people are kind of like liking that kind of stuff more, like a little bit slower pace. Even I don't know. I wonder sometimes like if flip phones ever come back, because you know how everything is like app based.
There is one.
No way, really?
There's a flip phone that just came out, but it's like a square little flip phone. It flips this way, and then you have a screen that's actually long ways.
Oh, okay.
So it's like open your phone, but now your phone is this way, so you have a big screen. It's like I just seen it the other day, and I'm like, what? I
thought it was good. Oh, okay. It still has a screen, so
it still has a screen, but it's a flip phone.
Okay, because I'm just wondering if the other one that just like the T9, yeah. Because when you said that, I was like,
Sidekick.
Yeah. How has the Sidekick not come back?
Honestly, that was my favorite phone ever.
Yeah, it really is.
It was just like swip. Okay, like that little keypad.
I feel that's when I felt like I was one of the cool kids.
Sidekick.
When I had a Sidekick, and then because like you would like flick the screen open with one. I would do it with one hand because I was fucking G like that.
You pull it out your pocket.
Yeah, like. But it was just so cool because one, it actually had a keyboard.
Yes.
And then it had like AOL Instant Messenger. It had your email in it too.
Everything was like at the touch of a button.
Yeah, it was fucking great. You know, I was realizing the other day, how is it that we were able to text and drive so good? Like I caught myself the other day because I remember, you know, I drive and I drive stick shift, right? So I'm driving stick shift. I'd get a call or, you know, a message. And so I'm driving and I have my hands on the wheel like this, but I'm typing them. It actually really showed me that you don't really need to pay too much attention to the road, just enough.
I can't tell you how many times I haven't paid attention to the road and I get home and I'm like, I don't remember one bit of that drive.
I know. That's happened to me too, where I'm like, I've been going for song, looking for a song next station or something like that, or changing CDs out.
I can tell you one thing about my drive, and it's like a 40-minute drive, and I'm like, I'd get home from work and be like, I don't remember a car that
This is why we're going to rule the planet.
I don't remember, like, I drove with my eyes closed. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. I always wondered if other people felt that same way.
No, totally.
I think especially when you take the same route every day.
Yeah.
Like if you're just like, oh. Just
No,
kind of
there's
assume.
times where I'm just like, I don't even
it's
remember
crazy.
that stuff. But I remember, being able to multitask like that. And then I was waiting for a super important text that I need to reply on. And they text. I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. Oh, my God. It's like my body just did not know what the fuck to do with like the wheel, the stick shift, the phone. I'm just like, oh, my God. I can't believe I have to pull over to answer this text, which I should be doing anyway. But yeah, I don't know what happens when you do that, but that's why we're gonna rule the world, because we were able to drive without even paying attention.
I still do. I'm low key ruling the world right now.
You are. And so going back to your tea company, how long have you been doing this for now?
So I initially started about 2 years ago. Been doing holistic stuff for years.
Yeah.
But
What got you into the
company 2 years.
holistic stuff?
So there was actually a wellness store in Long Beach off of, I want to say it was like 4th Street, like 4th and like near Pine. And this was like 18, 17 years ago. And I went in there one
What was the
time.
store called? Do you remember?
I don't remember the name of it. It's not there anymore. It should be, because now the area
right
is
now.
back. Oh my God, it would be crazy. But so I had went in there. My daughter was like a year old, and went in there and was like looking for like alternative medicine. She had a cold, and I just remember talking to the lady, and she was like, oh yeah, like kind of here's what we do. And she kind of was guiding me through, and I would go see her every time something would happen. I started taking this like holistic approach to making sure my daughter didn't have like over-the-counter meds or things that were bad for her kidneys or liver. And especially like antibiotics and stuff like that. So I just kind of started doing it with my oldest daughter. And this store was super useful. And this lady in there was like a fucking gem. And she would just like always guide me down like what works and what, And over time, I just started doing this in my home. My kids drink elderberry like it's nobody's business. Like this is just something that I've always implemented in my home.
Yeah.
And so like the holistic approach came very natural after I've kind of learned a little bit about a lot of herbs and stuff. So kind of introducing that. A lot of people don't realize that there's everything around you that you can utilize that can be beneficial to you as far as it comes to like just overall wellness.
Was it hard for you to find like books and research on this stuff?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they've been around forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back into like early 1800s. I mean, they've been using herbs think about all the witches who were killed that were witches who were technically, holistic.
Herbologists
and, holistic witches,
Did you see my rant
out.
about that? Did you see my rant about fucking, I think times are pretty crazy and we're all trying to be progressive, but like, let's give a little bit credit, towards how good it's got for women so
God,
far.
yes.
Why? Because
we're far more superior. We just had this conversation in my kitchen the other day. Women are far more superior. Let's just keep it real. My son and my boyfriend or fiance.
I tell
disagree.
every girl at the bar that, by the way, it works.
It's true. It's true.
But I'm saying it's like, all right, it's the progress that we've made is this, right? So many girls, people are into crystals and the blood moon and, sunbathing your crystals and then the Mercury retrograde, which would have got you killed.
Yes.
Which would have got you thrown into the ocean to see if you could float. And if you float, it's like, oh, I guess she wasn't a witch. Oh, well.
We don't hang her today.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry about that. The reason why I asked you if it was hard for you to find like research and stuff like that is, are you on the app Clubhouse by any chance? So I went into a room that was talking about like holistic medicine and stuff like that. And the moderator, he was saying that he gave like a list of books, but that it's getting harder and harder for a lot of these books to be on Amazon and things like that because they're getting pulled.
They are pulling a lot of them. I have heard that.
Yeah. And
well, I mean, think about it. Pharmaceutical companies make billions of dollars.
That's the argument they were saying. It's like, hey, when there's stuff out there that they're trying to sell you, and sell the doctors and hospitals. Because one thing that people don't realize is that hospitals
now it becomes competitive.
Yeah, and hospitals are actually a company. They have a CEO and all that stuff, right?
Just corporate.
And if you have, let's say, a tea, for instance, or herb or something like that can, take away your headache and stuff like that, then why would you want that around? And that's what you're saying, that like...
it is. It's crazy how the thing is, they want pharmaceutical companies to profit from the people. But why is it... I mean, I feel like a lot of people who dabble with herbs question this. Why is it okay for pharmaceuticals, but why is it not okay for herbologists or homeopathic specialists to provide something that is natural?
Mm-hmm.
It goes back, look at cannabis, for instance. Why all of a sudden it's okay because they can tax it.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't okay before.
We went from, it's like category 1 drug. So it's like or I forget what category it is, but it's basically on the same level as heroin.
Oh, yeah.
We went from that to essential business real quick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because it's profit.
Mm-hmm.
That alone, the thing is, people are so blinded by what they hear and what they read versus, factual information or things. I'd rather use something that's been used for thousands of years than something that's been created in a lab.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion.
That has 100,000 side effects.
Yeah.
Where
it's like, by the way, you're losing an arm, your sense of smell will be gone, you'll have migraines for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's like,
but
lots of murder, suicide. You might want to fucking murder your children in their sleep.
Take these antidepressants, but you may want to hang yourself.
Yeah. Like, how does that work?
I'm like,
so it's either like this or like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and another thing that he was mentioning, it was that the whole COVID thing actually did a lot of bad because what's happening is a lot of people are like, hey, if it's attacking your immune system and like your lungs and all this stuff, then you should be. I don't feel. He didn't say that anybody was actually saying it's a cure or anything like that. It's just a way to like help your immune system so you can battle it.
You should
right?
definitely build your immune system, and there is plenty of herbs that you can do to do that.
Right. So what he was saying is that like it had hurt that scene because a lot of people are just like, that's false information, that's misleading information, and then it starts getting flagged on Facebook, it starts getting flagged on YouTube because you're putting a cure for COVID, and then all of a sudden that kind of just opens up the lane for like not to get conspiratorial, but like pharmaceutical companies who pump a lot of money be like, hey, this is all misleading information, this is not science, it's not regulated. Ours is regulated by the FDA, so you should be taking these things down because
it's regulated.
Yeah, exactly, by their own.
Yeah.
Most companies are self-regulated actually, and then FDA just signs a paper after they get their check.
Exactly. Let's pay the FDA first.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if you run into that, or are there books?
I live in LA. I'm from LA. What I sell is very LA based.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real. Like, my product can either range from very hipster.
Yeah.
To very traditional Hispanic families.
Mm-hmm.
Traditional medicine. It is herbs. It is organic herbs from the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is nothing, fake or generic in it. Either you believe in the product and you understand that the quality is there, or you don't.
Yeah, and
I feel like you either have the people that are very like, I am a firm believer in this, or nope, I only believe in pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm. Do you think a little bit is cultural? Because I'm certain
Absolutely.
Because I'm thinking like, at least me growing up, if I had a stomach ache, my grandma would just get like spearmint or yerba buena.
Yerba buena from the right there,
right there.
Window.
Yeah. Okay, so okay.
Growing up, that's what we did.
Yeah, and your stomach ache would go away.
Didn't feel good.
Yeah.
You're a little nauseous. Boil some ginger.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what we did growing up. It was always traditional. Go pick something,
bring
it in, and boil it.
Yeah, and
there was nothing. That, in my opinion, that's magical in itself.
Yeah.
There was nothing not normal about that growing up.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of other cultures are the same way. Mm-hmm. They have some sort of version of that. But I feel like, and I mean, this could be totally wrong, but like Americans don't really have that, like grow up with that. Like if you're immigrant, I guess, but just kind of like growing that, like I'm not even sure if that's part of the culture.
I mean, then again, what do you consider American? Because we live in a melting
Yeah,
pot.
I mean, it's all.
What's really American?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's a loaded question, right?
It really is a
Yeah,
loaded
yeah.
question. I mean, what is American?
You
Was
live
it
in
the
America.
settlers that came
Yeah.
here who were not American?
I'm talking pilgrims.
Yeah,
I'm talking pilgrims, Monique.
Yeah, those are not Americans.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like pilgrims. Okay.
Yeah.
Did the pilgrims?
Because if you go back to Native Americans, they believed in herbal medicine.
Right.
You know, they believe in
True Americans.
Yeah, those are true Americans.
But so I'm assuming like on the Mayflower, I wonder if they had. Oh no, you know what? Oh my gosh, I just answered. No, we answered our own question, Monique. They couldn't have. They couldn't use that because they were witches. They couldn't use natural shit because, like, could you imagine, like, oh, try this fucking potion, this concoction, and now you fucking makes your head go away. Witch or warlock.
Yeah, that's exactly why so many witches were killed. I mean, I think of the word witches now. It's a very powerful word in the sense that it's not a bad word.
No.
I mean,
it's kind of a cool word.
It's a fucking awesome thing. It's an awesome thing. You're using natural elements. Like, it's a fucking amazing.
You know, I feel growing up, it was like witch was like a scary word because it's like, ooh, like they're gonna put a spell on you and like
this.
You
also paint this picture of witches, which why do they make them look ugly all the time?
I don't know.
Because when I see them in movies, they're all like beautiful goddesses.
Well, like I think Snow White probably did it. The cartoon. Remember, she gave Snow White the apple.
Okay, so yes, but that was okay.
So that's like what 60s maybe.
But that was the evil stepmother who did that.
No, that was.
Oh, that was the witch. That was the stepmother who became the witch. Who then gave her the apple.
Was she hot though?
Which one? Snow White was hot.
No. What I'm saying, the witch, because the witch that gave Snow White the apple, she was ugly. She had a wart.
But initially, she was the stepmother who was like mirror, mirror on the wall, who was the fairest of.
Oh, but she made herself hot.
She made herself. She was hot. What kind of?
She
had that thing on her.
Yeah. We don't really know how
she
hot.
She could have been bald.
She was an 8. She was an 8.
I mean, a solid 5.
Yeah. That's why I'm a guy, your girl.
Yeah. Your standards are way lower.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've always been portrayed, all like that. But you know what I think changed it? I think
like society has portrayed witches to be this like horrible, ugly.
Like you have like Wicked, like Wizard of Oz, where like always like the nose and
wearing the black. I mean, yeah.
I think I saw the spike in witchdom, right? After American Horror Story, Coven.
Okay.
Did you watch that?
I did.
Okay. Because that made like, okay, and now witches come in all shapes and sizes. Yeah. And then like the old witch, she was hot, like all sultry and like, oh, I've been doing this forever. Darling. Like, like smoking a cigarette and shit.
So that's your type.
I can be my type. I definitely can be my type.
Old smoking hot witch.
It's so funny. I remember I was working at like Best Buy at the computer counter, right, where you take them for computer repair. And there's a guy there. He used to work there, and his name's Kelly, right? And Kelly, I mean, we were like 21, 22. Kelly was an old school guy. He was in his 40s. It's got to be, right? Maybe older. I don't know.
The old wise wizard.
Yeah. He's the guy that's like, oh, you kids, you guys think you're so cool wearing your black jeans and your chucks. Back when I was around in the punk, into punk, I'd get my ass beat just for wearing black jeans, man. That kind of guy. Yeah. And so anyway, we're working the service counter, and he's like, hey, Los, come here. What do you think? I'm like, that old chick? No. And he's like, bro, you're killing me. Like, you seriously think that's hot? He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't know, man.
Something you didn't know.
And then he was like, let me tell you something, youngster. When you get to my age, think about this moment and think about it. Totally true. Totally true. Coven, hey, darling. Hot cigarette smoking witch. Totally hot.
Yeah. You're like, I'll take it. I'll take 2.
But no, I think, but yeah, no, like, I think like shows like, what was the other show from the 90s? Because there's the movie The Craft.
Oh, God.
Remember
I
that?
just seen that the other day.
Yeah. Didn't they remake it like with new people?
They did. I seen the old one the other day though. I was like, that was such a cool movie with like the blood moon, everyone out in their circle and like summoning the.
I think that
I think
movie.
that was like the everyone wanted to become a witch after that.
And all the OG goth people are like.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? I'm sure pissed off goth people. Is man, what was that show with Shannon Doherty, Alyssa Milano?
Cruel Intentions?
No. That's with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Ryan Phillippe. No. It was a TV show. Oh my God. I hate myself for not knowing this. They were all House Full of Witches.
Oh yeah.
And then Shannon Doherty got
God.
kicked out of it, and then
Oh, why can I think of it? They had the staircase that came down.
yes.
What the fuck?
It's because you put craft. I had it in my brain, but then you said the craft, and now I could only think the craft. No.
Oh my God. Totally drawing a blank.
You know exactly what
I
show
know,
I'm
yeah.
talking about, but
I know exactly.
oh
the show.
my God, this is gonna kill me,
They
and I'm
had
not
that
gonna
big
Google
wooden
it.
staircase when you open the front door to their house, and they would all like stand up there on the staircase, and they all had their own special powers. Oh my God.
I remember in high school, especially like after the craft came out in that show. You know what? This is not right.
Yeah.
This is not right.
Find it.
We're gonna do which show from the 90s?
Yep.
Which show from the 90s?
I can totally like vision it. I just cannot.
Charmed. That's not actually what I was thinking though, but like the name of it. But yeah, that makes total sense. But I do remember in high school because like in high school, I was the oddball Mexican because I was into like metal and like death metal and Sepultura and all that shit. Back then, it wasn't cool for Mexican kids to be into that. They were into like flashbacks, like The Cure, Depeche Mode, which I was into that too. But I went through like this metal goth phase, right? And so I would have goth girlfriends, and they fucking absolutely hated the fact that Charmed and the craft. They're like, oh my God, this is not even right. Like they're holding hands this way, and like, oh my God, that's not even a real pentagram. Like, da-da-da-da. There were the people that are like, oh, you're a witch. I'm Wiccan. Thank you very much. Those people.
That's who you dated.
Yeah. For a time, I've gone through my phases for sure.
That's funny.
You know how some people have a map of like places they traveled?
Yeah.
I have one of those too.
It's like women.
And it's like, oh, let's go Thai. Oh, Korean.
You know, check,
Oh,
check,
witch, Wiccan. I'm gonna get myself a refresher,
Okay.
and then we'll continue.
Yeah. Ta-da.
And we're back from my drink break. No, I really want to do it because before you left, I wanted to try all the teas, and then also apparently they're actual mixers as well.
You just discovered it.
Yes, so I made myself a rum and the horchata drink. This is delicious. This is like, it's, you know what I really like about it is that it's the right amount of sweet, because a lot of the horchatas are, or even I've had a couple like plant-based like horchatas. They make up for it by making it super, super sweet. Like it's just so good. And then I tried the
Monk fruit and erythritol don't necessarily, sugar tends to be sweet but overly sweet. When you use monk fruit and erythritol, it's sweet, but it doesn't have that sugar like intensity like high fructose corn syrup or like sugar does. It's not, doesn't come off, it doesn't leave a
This is so
sweet
good.
aftertaste. That aftertaste goes away.
The hibiscus one, I mean, it's horchata. I mean, not horchata. Agua de Jamaica. And what when I saw ginger in there, I tend to kind of stay away from it just because, like, most of the places that I've had like some sort of ginger drink, It's the bite is too much and it's overwhelming, and then you don't taste all the other stuff. This is so subtle. Like I can still obviously tell if there's ginger in there, but it's not like burning my throat. Yeah, it's not overpowering the drink. I tried the Thai tea. This tastes just like Thai tea I would get at my favorite Thai restaurant. This is delicious. You know, it's just, I don't know. It just makes me really happy when I see friends that, you know, are doing what they love. And I mean, I'm not sure how.
Oh, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
You're enjoying this.
Yeah. Like I'm, because, you know, I don't see what I expected. I expected to drink it and be like, yeah, it's good. Like, you know, I mean, you put these ingredients in it, put some sugar in it, and it's bound to taste good. But like I'm taken aback by how delicious. Like I would.
I hear stuff like that all the time. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap! Like I did not expect it to taste like this.
You know,
And like a lot of my repeat customers are like,
yeah.
there's nothing that compares. Not only is it good for you, but like I can drink them every day
Yeah.
and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, especially for me, I think my go-to would be the Let It Go. I actually have never watched that movie. I just know that parents hate that.
We do.
This, I mean, it's you know, chamomile is the base of it, right?
Yes.
It is so like refreshing. It's good. It's light. Like I could drink this all day.
Yeah. And there's no caffeine in that.
Oh, there's no caffeine on it either. Oh, I didn't. No, I'm just kidding.
Quizá.
No, but I mean,
Tíralo entonces.
yeah, it is so good. And you know why? I mean, I didn't want to be insulting by saying like, oh my God, I can't believe it actually tastes good. But you know, a lot of times when you hear people like, hey, I'm trying out this new thing. It's now, you know, I'm doing it. You expect there to be, I'm expecting not to get the full product as if I'm going to taste Monique's teas 5 years from now. Once you've been doing it and trials and errors and kind of you did that really early.
There's something about small batch brewing.
Yeah.
It really brings out, like, if with that Let It Go one, you take a sip of that, you literally taste every single herb that is in there.
Yeah.
There is something very magical about small brew. You have to do it in small batch.
Yeah. Because if not after that, like the quality.
The quality kind of faults a little bit. You're not. It's just.
It's also harder to measure numbers. I mean,
I definitely multiply everything if I do like larger batches, but I still stay within that like 10 to 15 range. I don't go any further than that just to ensure the quality of the tea.
Your teas.
But it's not your like Starbucks tea bag. It's not.
Yeah. It feels pro. You know, if that's how I'm gonna.
It is pro.
Yeah, like, you know, not just like, hey, like I'm doing this on Instagram. You know, I'm like, okay, Monique's awesome. Let's go support a friend. No, it's actually like really, really fucking good. Like, are you thinking about doing like subscriptions or anything like that?
So on my website, I do offer that option. I do a monthly subscription box, which will include 2 random teas and then something else like a CBD bath bomb or a loose leaf blend, or something like that. So I do offer that.
And how much is that?
I do them for $25.
No way.
Yeah.
What?
So you can do a monthly subscription for $25. Will come with 2 bottled teas, 16 ounces, and something else that's random from our site.
Do you do a weekly one?
You can actually.
Oh, you can do like the cadence of it?
If you want weekly or if you do monthly.
Yeah.
And I offer in 12 ounce, 16, and 32 ounce.
Oh, really? Okay.
The horchata seems to fly by 32.
Yeah, I bet.
People just keep it in their fridge.
Yeah,
and
pretty
honestly,
much.
I'm not a big coffee drinker, but when I do, I sweeten it with that.
I cannot wait till April 20th and get the 32 ounce of the horchata and get some freaking cinnamon toast crunch.
You're about to live your best life.
Yeah. No, but like I said, these feel pro. Like these if I didn't know you and they should be at Whole Foods, they should be at Gelson's and all that stuff. This is like, they're really, really delicious. And I can't believe they're good for you. Yeah, that's even the better part.
That's the best part.
But you know, kind of talking about what we were saying, like, there's during like COVID, right? A lot of these things popped up, you know, where people were like, I don't know what to do. Either like, you know,
it was like a sink or swim moment, I think, for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
like I said, I've always had some sort of hustle.
Yeah.
You grow up hard in this like crazy world. It's sink or swim.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like, this has always been my passion. This has always been something I wanted to do. I just didn't have the time to do it.
Gotcha.
I had 3 kids and a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like, at what point was I? And that's why I was going the direction of, let's open up brick and mortar.
How did you find the time to do this? Because none of that changed.
Well, COVID changed everything. I was working in a bar, and I was working in a topless bar.
Yeah.
And so, let's be very honest. Topless bars are pretty much non-existent at this time.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. And so I had to transition. It was like, okay, well,
because you've been at that bar for a while, right?
For a long time, yeah. So for me, it was like, okay, well, topless bars are closed. Now I have an opportunity. I was already going to open my own spot, and I was planning to just like work at the bar here and there. Well, COVID came, bar closed down. Everything with the brick and mortar location kind of fell through, and I had to be patient. So I was like, let's just go full force.
Yeah.
And let me figure out another alternative. And the only thing I came to mind was, I got to do a website, because everything how do you get your name out there now that you have a website? Well, I have to do pop-ups, and I have to do farmers markets. That's the only way to do it. So that's where I went with it.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting what comes out of this whole COVID thing, because I see online like so many friends take up new ventures, right?
Isn't it great? Though?
Yeah, no, it's I loved it. I love it. You know why? Because I am a proponent of try to do your own shit. That's what I'm trying to do here. My hopes is that I do enough of these where eventually get more and more viewers. Where, what do I like doing? I like talking to people, having a drink, and chilling with friends. If that could be my full-time job,
there's nothing better than doing something you love.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really learned with making these teas, is that you can leave me in the kitchen with a bunch of herbs and I'm like in my happy place. I turn on my speaker and I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm content here. I'm happy here. How do I turn that into something that is profitable for me and for my family?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get to give back a little bit of something to someone. And when I get all these like, oh my God, we love your product. Like, it's so great. Like, we can taste the quality.
Yeah.
For me, that makes me whole.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a great day because someone just sent me a wonderful message. Like, I'm totally happy with that. Yeah.
One of my friends, she's a bartender in Long Beach, and she's, and it's at a dive bar and they don't have food. So she's totally shit out of luck,
Yeah.
And, when you work for tips, like, it's not the same money as unemployment,
It is not. That service industry money where those tips come in, you rely on those tips.
Yeah.
You rely on that. Your whole livelihood is based off of making this cash in hand. So when you're no longer making cash in hand, you're like, what do I do?
I miss
now?
that so much.
Working in a bar, getting cash in hand, who doesn't love that?
I miss your Money Mayweather posts where you just be like, money bitches, and just like all your money like on the bed. I'm like,
I miss them too.
Yeah.
I miss those posts. But now I'm like, I throw teas on the bed and I'm like, I'm cool with it.
Loose sleep all day, bitches. But no, it was really cool to see a lot of my friends. Like I was saying, like my friend that bartends, and she didn't know what the fuck to do, and she's just started seeing online, like on Instagram, people just doing, selling, products or whether it's crystals, teas, bread, or anything like that. And she's like, I fucking love cooking. Like that's what I love to do when I'm not at the bar. I'm cooking, and she likes to have dinner parties and invite fucking 20 people. Like that's her shit. And so she finally was like, you know what? What do I have to lose? I'm just gonna make an Instagram page, and she just puts out a menu every week, and then she delivers the food to you.
It's the most beautiful thing to see people flourishing from this. It's like, a lot of people have had really hard times.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are you going to make that work for you? I mean, we can sit here and all wallow in our shit.
Yeah.
And, what good is that going to do? You got to figure it out. You got to stay afloat somehow. You got to turn those passions into money.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that so many people are doing that, I can't tell you like how proud I am to see like people grow.
Yeah. You know, it was really cool is that
they always say you should do what you love, right?
Right. They say that, but but life gets in the way.
But you get so caught up in this, I have to work, I have to make money, I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This was a moment for a lot of people, like, do what you love, because people can really appreciate that. Not only that, me, myself, and other people I know, you want to support small businesses. Mm-hmm. You want to support, I'd rather give my money to somebody who's catering from their home mm-hmm. than to give my money to McDonald's.
Right.
I mean, let's keep it real.
I think that's a pretty common sentiment. I think that's why so many places have had.
Plus, McDonald's is expensive. You're going to spend $60 there to feed 5 people.
Yeah.
When you can go and from somebody's catering from their home, cooking their food with love and like intention and like good ingredients, why would you not support somebody's like future? It's
funny that you mentioned that, because that actually happened to me exactly with McDonald's, like sometime like in April or May, because I was starting, especially like the first month of COVID. I think everybody was on super high alert. Not going to go to the store, getting stuff delivered. Cleaning the bag and stuff like that. And I started looking at what I was paying like for Grubhub fees and all that stuff. Your $11 McDonald's order is now $25, right? And I was like, this is crazy. This is out of hand. Mind you, I love cooking. I cook all the time. But I was just trying to, be part of the solution or whatnot. And I started seeing.
You're also in a time where you don't have a lot of finances to just be like, oh,
yeah.
Cool. Oh,
exactly.
Like, wow. You don't have a lot of like that disposable income that you had before. Mm-hmm. So now you're like, I have to save money, and now I'm spending $20 on Grubhub fees. Like, it's crazy.
And I started seeing, I'm in this Long Beach food channel. And everybody posts like, hey, like, what's the best spot in Long Beach for tacos? And then 50 people chime in with their own opinion. But a lot of the stuff is like, hey, like, I'm starting this new little pop-up. I make Italian food, from scratch. It's my grandma's recipe, da, da, da. So I started seeing more and more of those things. And for the same price, I would get it delivered by them. So all the money goes to them. Yeah. And I know they cooked it, like, it's a home-cooked meal, way better than whatever it is that is in, like, fast food and things like that. And for even a fraction of the price. Yeah. So then that's what I started doing. I started, like, supporting all these, like, local, I forget what they call it, cottage kitchens. I think that's what they call it.
Because you need the cottage license.
Yeah. Is that what it is?
Yeah. That's why I call them cottage kitchens.
Gotcha. I started, supporting all these people, and I was just like, why would you do anything else? But back to the point where it's going is that, and what you were saying, that you get told all the time that, follow your dreams and stuff like that. Most of the people that I know that started something like on Instagram, I was like, I never knew that you were into this scene. It's like, oh, I know. But like, no, this has been my passion forever. And I'm like, that fucking sucks. That like, because of how involved you get with work and all the other bullshit around you, that your main passion gets put in the back burner. Yeah, that sucks.
But it's common for so many people.
Yeah.
So many people. People are like, oh, I never even knew. And I'm like, I mean, obviously they don't live with me, so they don't know my craziness of like making tinctures in my windowsill or anything crazy like that. But yeah, like people were like, oh, I had no idea. And it's like, this is what I've been doing for a long time. Obviously, you only knew me from one aspect of my life. You didn't know what I was doing or whatever elsewhere. So it's nice though that people are putting those passions.
Yeah, and I hope people keep it going. Like my friend, for instance, the bartender, she said like she can't wait to go back, but she's gonna do like half and half. She's definitely cutting her hours.
Really, I never want to go back.
Yeah,
I never want to go back. Like, we've had this conversation in my home, and I'm like, this is where my heart is.
Yeah.
This is where my heart is. Like, why would I want to go back? Like, I loved what I did before.
She does drugs at work, so maybe that's why.
Oh, that could be it. I mean, depends what kind.
Yeah. But you don't want to go back.
I mean, are you smoking weed at home? Because, I mean, is that a really
It's not even a drug.
That's what I say all the time. I'm like, if you grow it and it's, like, natural.
That's what I tell people all the time. Like, do you do drugs? And they're like, oh yeah, I smoke weed. I'm like,
That's not a drug.
I'm like,
Please
do
don't
real
call
drugs,
it-
pussy.
Yeah.
Do real drugs.
Then I mean, are mushrooms a drug? They grow naturally from the ground.
Back to the conversation that we were having about pharmaceutical companies. So I was listening to this podcast where they brought like this. It's this dude that he's a researcher for what are those drugs called? Like mushroom, like psychedelics. Right? And he was just giving all these stats for it and about how like LSD, mushrooms, and all those things. The doses that he gives people.
Microdoses?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, he does full on like copious amounts, right? For the sake of research. And he's like, within a few, within hours, you're good. You know what I mean? And he's like, if I gave that much meth or cocaine to anybody, they just die, obviously, right? And he was just going off about how it's pretty crazy that these drugs are felonies. Like you can go to jail for, and I forget because especially mushrooms now.
Mushrooms they're trying to legalize.
Yeah, I think Portland legalized it.
Yeah. They should be. I mean, it grows from the ground. So what? You have a little bit of a moment. You move forward. If anyone who's ever done mushrooms, it's a very enlightening moment of your life.
I've never known anybody that does mushrooms and wants to shoot up a school.
No.
You know what I mean?
You're like, I fucking, like, everything around me is alive, and I love it.
We should have done mushrooms for the podcast.
We should have. I'm sure.
Would you be down? Would you be down? Oh my God, that'd be interesting, to say the least.
Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
Like, mushrooms, I mean, I've had one bad trip, but that was like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But mushrooms, I feel like you feel very connected to everything. You know what
he called it? He called it a challenging experience. When like we have a bad trip, he's like, "Oh, you have a challenge," and like he teaches people
you have to get past.
Yeah, and he coaches people to get past it because they're like, once you break through that, it's really hard to get another one.
Experience seriously was at a very dark point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was young. I was going through a lot of stuff. I was not in a good place. When you do mushrooms and you're in a good place, there is nothing that can get in the way of those moments of connecting with everything around you.
You know what I like about that stuff is that, like me personally, like if I do that kind of stuff and I have like a negative experience, I actually like it. Like when, like with weed, a lot of people like feel paranoid anxiety sometimes. If that ever does happen to me, I like it. I'm like, oh, cool. This is like climbing a mountain. Like I'm gonna get through this. Like, fuck yeah, this is cool. Yeah. And with things like psychedelics and things like that, when you're having an experience, especially if you are in a dark place, it forces you to tackle it.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It makes you,
because you can't run away from it.
Once you get over that and you're like, okay, now I'm sober now. You look back at that moment, you're like, why? What was I going through? What was it? It kind of like you start, in a sense, over analyzing that experience, and then later you're able to say, okay, well, this is why that happened. Like, this is what I needed to get through in order for me to let that part go. And then you do it again, obviously. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, I get it now. Like, it's different. And you have to be in good presence. You can't be around people who are, trying to instigate a situation or make you feel a certain way.
Yeah, I either do solo or like with people like that want to have a good vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, so I learned my lesson. So one of my buddies, he's an army dude, right? He went to Afghanistan or whatnot, did all that, and everything that you would expect to come from that, right? So he came back. Awesome dude, but you can definitely tell that he has some shit.
Little PTSD.
Yeah. And so he was like, dude, my buddy can get us shrooms. Like, do you want to try it? It's like, I already went through that phase. Like, I'm not sure if I want to commit 8 hours to this, because at that point it's like, fuck. It's like, it's a thing now, right? You have to cancel everything and
gotta plan your day.
Yeah, because I gotta plan your day. Because I'm also not like that person that's like, oh, let's do shrooms. Let's go to bar hopping. Like, that's not me. I know there's people that do that shit. That's
I have
not
friends
me.
that are like that.
Yeah.
They want to go live out their whole day, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. No. For me, it's like, okay, it's going to be an experience. So so I'm like, okay, you know what? You really want to do it? I'll fucking do it with you. And he's like, all right, cool. Cause he's not a drug person. Like, he doesn't smoke weed or nothing. Like, but he just heard so much about it. Right. And this was, I think, about 10 years ago. So it's not even like how, cause apparently they're super popular now. Everyone does mushrooms now. Yeah. Freaking, that's why you can't buy shit in fucking Joshua Tree anymore. Yeah. Because everybody's just tripping their asses off.
I have friends who used to bring them over from Catalina Island.
Really?
Yeah. They'd find them in cow patties or something out there, and they'd bring them over.
It does blow my mind, though, that, like, I can start an OnlyFans fucking sucking 8 dicks, fucking, and while...
Which everybody has done since the pandemic.
You know, I wish I could get on that game, but...
I'm like, ooh,
you hear stories like, oh,
pass.
lady make like, did you hear the story about the lady that she has her kids in like Catholic school, right? And she makes she's an older lady. By older, she's like mid 40s or something. But she makes 150 grand a month on it. But she's pissed because the Catholic school kicked her kids out.
Oh,
you know, and she's just like, you know, leave my, you know, do with me whatever you want, but like leave my, I'm like, just for 150K a month.
Send them somewhere else.
Yeah. You can pay for therapy if they're, yeah, homeschool at that point.
Hey, the rest of us are homeschooling,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, I became like a teacher overnight.
What were we talking about before OnlyFans? And my venture into OnlyFans. I don't even. Oh yeah. I was saying like, oh yeah, so I can have like 15 dicks, you know, on me and fucking bukkake.
You're good at that.
Just gotta rotate, you know. And there's probably an art to that because like as a guy, like.
Well, you guys are not good at multitasking.
No.
So let's just start there.
Yeah.
You guys would not be good at that. You're not good at multitasking. It's not your forte.
This is I'll say that's multitasking.
It's not. Want you to know right now that is not multitasking.
While having a woodpecker peck on my nuts, totally legal, no problem. As a matter of fact, I can make a lot of money out of it. But if I want to grow, yeah. Okay. But if I want to grow mushrooms, I can have the feds fucking tear up my house. Yeah. Which just seems like doesn't make sense. It's a fucking mushroom. It's a fucking mushroom.
How do we profit from it?
Yeah.
Now that they're trying to legalize it, it's because they can profit from it. They've realized they can profit from cannabis. Now we can profit from this because one, it's organic, and you know, let's tax them.
It just makes no sense.
It makes
how
perfect
something.
Sense.
Oh, I know. Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Makes perfect sense.
But I just can't believe for so long we're just like, oh, okay, yeah, that seems okay. Yeah. No. You know what? I blame the fucking DARE program because they lied to me. They lied to me. Are they?
I just seen them the other day. I was outside of Albertsons, and this guy is standing there with the little table.
Do people just laugh at them?
And he's the grocery store wearing a DARE shirt, and I was like, oh, and I was like, you guys are still around. He's like, would you like to like sponsor a program? Like, do you want a little more information? And I'm like,
and you're like, no. How do I shut you down?
I'm like, I feel like DARE was like I didn't even know it was still. I had no idea.
DARE to keep kids off drugs.
Yeah, I was like, I have no idea that this was even a thing still. I was like, I have one of those shirts. I bought it at Hot Topic.
I can't believe that's still a thing, especially like nowadays. I'm like, chances are most of the parents are on microdosing, or microdosing mushrooms.
Everyone's home right now. Everyone's microdosing.
Yeah. So it's just so wild to me that we were like totally okay with that. But I was saying I blame the DARE program because I'm not sure when you were in school, did you have the cop come that had the briefcase? Yeah. The briefcase.
Did you also have a puppet?
I never got the puppet. I went to. Oh, you're in East LA. Oh. You're in East LA.
So I get the puppet.
You get the puppet. I was in Bellflower.
I had little puppet.
Yeah. I was in Bellflower. We didn't have puppets. We just had the cop who may have arrested somebody's mother beforehand. They came to the thing and they had the briefcase of goodies, right?
Oh
And they're like, this is fucking PCP. By the way, I can't wait for that to make a comeback.
I thought it never went away.
In some circles, I'm sure it didn't go
I
away.
was like, I've never done it, never dabbled with it, never known anyone. Well, I've known people who have, but never really experienced that around me.
Yeah.
And then I found out, like, not too long ago that someone knows someone who does it all the time. And I'm like, that's a thing?
How do you do that all the time?
Like, that's a thing? I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought that was, like, something in the, like, 80s.
Yeah.
Like, that made people go crazy, and then it was just, like, gone. Like, yeah. But apparently it's a thing.
Oh, okay. So the guy with the DARE program, he would come by and he'd have his little thing of goodies. And then when he would go to like the mushrooms or the LSD, specifically, they were just like, now these are the ones you want to run away from. Let me tell you this story, kids. And then like, oh, okay, what, Officer Camacho? It's like, well, 2 days ago, we got a report of a man that was eating a baby. Like, what? Yeah. So we went over there to check it out. And the guy was high on mushrooms. And he thought the baby was a cheeseburger. Don't do drugs, kids. We're like, what? I blame them. Because also the thing with acid LSD, you know, the thing you always hear is just like, oh, like, you don't want to do it because there might be that one chance where you just trip forever. But they made it seem like you never stop tripping. So you're going to go crazy. And so those were the ones that always definitely got flagged as these are bad, but these
no go.
And kind of find out, especially after hearing the podcast with that guy, you can do so much fucking of this shit. Yeah, you're going to trip balls and you might have a crazy ass experience, but you're not going to overdose and you're not going to die. Yeah. You're not going to kill somebody. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But going back to my story about my buddy with the mushrooms, so I'm like, all right, let's fucking do this, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm the fucking pro here with this. I'm gonna make him have a cool ass experience, right? I'm gonna play the fucking right movies. I'm gonna play fucking music. I already know things I'm gonna talk to him about, just so like free his mind, like
pre-planning.
Yeah,
you're like a party planner at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, new COVID job.
Yeah,
party planner. Zoom with trip out with your friends over Zoom.
You can send a goodie box full of stuff they can use for the party.
But it's highly illegal, Monique.
No, I'm not the drugs.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, like feathers.
I'm like, oh, you're a drug dealer.
You're like, I don't think feathers. You can ship
that. So anyway, so I'm planning like this cool ass experience for him, and he's a bigger dude. Especially he was on steroids at the time, so he was fucking even bigger. And he comes over, and it's his buddy's a drug dealer, and so he's like, dude, we got hooked up. You know, it was like a thank you for your service kind of shit. So they gave him a big ass Ziploc bag of mushrooms. I'm like, oh, that's a lot. We definitely do not need.
Yeah, we need two.
Yeah, we definitely not need all of that. And then I'm like, you're kind of a bigger guy, so like, you know, just take, you know, this cap and these times, whatever. And I don't want to go there, you know, so I just have a small amount, just small, right? Just to do it, so like, hey, I'm taking it with you, but I'm not really, you know, I'm not going there with you. Why? Because I'm catering this experience for you. Anyway, we're totally cool. And he's like, I don't feel anything, man. This is like about 40 minutes.
Everybody says that before they feel something. I don't feel it yet. Is it going to kick in? How long does it take? And then you're like, oh, shit. I feel it.
That's usually the case. Yeah. Not in this case.
Oh, God.
So I was like, well, you ate it, so don't worry. It's going to kick in. Like, you're not going to feel anything. Just give it time, man. We're chilling anyway. We're just chilling anyway, you know, hanging out, having drinks, you know, much like this. And like an hour and a half goes by. He's like, I don't feel shit. I'm like, really? He's like, I think I should take more. I'm like, because you know that's a slippery slope. Once you just start feeding somebody mushrooms, and it's, you know, because eventually it's gonna kick in, right? Hopefully. I guess. And I'm like, you know what? Just do one. You know, let's just keep it chill. You know, because a lot of times like, you'll need something to kind of like activate it. Sometimes I've had that experience before where I feel that thing, and then all of a sudden like someone goes, here, like smoke weed, and then I smoke weed. And I'm like,
or
wow.
here, have a vitamin C.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
drink this orange juice.
yeah.
You're like,
And all of a sudden, like, yeah, there you go. And I'm like, all right, just take one. And 30 minutes goes by, and he's like, I don't know, dude. I'm feeling like tingly, you know, from the little shit that I took. So I'm like, no, this is bullshit. But he's like, fine, I'll wait. Like, you know how to do this, so it's fine. Like a fucking little kid, I go to the bathroom, and like a fucking little kid, I come out. He's like this. Like a kid with the cookie jar, stuffing mushrooms.
no.
Yes.
Oh, no.
He got a handful. He just like,
And you're like, you're feeling them already.
I was like, oh my God. He's like, fuck it. Fuck this. You know, these are all natural, right? Fuck it. I'm just going to fucking do it.
God.
I'll eat the whole fucking bag. I'm like, you might actually be feeling it already. You just don't know.
If you're just,
yeah.
like.
So you eat a fistful of mushrooms. I'm like, whew, oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. This just got complicated. And I'm like, dude, come, let's watch a movie, right? And so I had put on Tron, right? The
That's
original.
a good one.
Yeah, the original Disney one, right? Because it's fucking trippy and like the colors and all that stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, cool, man. I've actually never watched this shit. Like I only watched the new one with Daft Punk and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, at least watch the original. So we're just like chilling watching it. And do you remember that movie at all? Or
Vaguely, yes.
so there's, I think the bad guy, he's like this projection. It's just like a face, right? And then he's just like, whoa, the fuck? I'm like, what? Oh, I don't like that guy. I do not like that guy.
He's getting bad vibes already.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, no, it's cool, right? And he's like, oh, I don't know. This makes you feel uneasy. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Here it goes.
Oh, here it goes. I mean, it went from that to like an hour later, we're both in the hallway. He's crying, talking about how he wishes he could be in Afghanistan with the rest of his friends. He wishes, he's like, wait, I think I can telepathically communicate with them. And just like therapy session full on for like 3 or 4 hours. Childhood, the war,
Oh my God.
strippers, like that didn't call him back. You know, it was just how I hurt his feelings. Like, why would they give me their number if they do? I'm like, because they want you to go and spend money on them. That's just wrong. I had a connection. We all do, buddy. Believe me, you all have those connections. But yeah, it was a full-on therapy session. And
I'm sure he felt better though after.
now he was like, dude, I do have PTSD. I just microdose. Fucking great.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is the new way of everybody doing it. Everybody
I
microdoses
hate that shit.
now.
I hate that shit.
Really? I'm like
Yes.
firm, like I'm cool with it.
It's because you're a nice person. It's because you're a nice person.
You're like, okay, it's you kind of get through moments and tolerate it. You can enjoy it without being overly.
If I wanted to feel microdosing, I would just sit down and get up really quick. Just so I can feel like that little lightheadedness. No, I'm kind of more in with like my buddy that's like,
Eat the bag.
eat the bag. Just eat the bag. Talk to your God and have him explain.
Have him drop a bag off.
Yeah. What was the whole point of this mushroom conversation?
I have no idea how we got here.
I think it definitely had to do with the fact that
the PTSD and the legalization.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and we were talking about how those things could be legal, and you know,
Which is great. So many people with PTSD benefit from microdosing. It's not uncommon. It's very common.
yeah. No, I think microdosing for therapy is totally great.
And it's like if it works and it puts you in a better headspace and you're able to see things clearly and you're able to kind of weed through moments, like I don't understand. understand why you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Yeah. Like I think
If you can take 10 Percocets, you should be able to microdose.
that's fucking so wrong. You know, I've lost friends to shit like that, whether now they're in jail or they lost their teeth or they're just crackheads now.
Everybody has had someone they've known or someone they care about who has been in that position when it comes to pharmaceutical medications.
Yeah.
And using that.
Yeah, like one of my buddies, he's a young kid, and everything going for him. He was not one of those people that like, oh, I need to go to college or anything like that. It was obviously he was not going to do that. You know, he loved working. Like, you know, there's some dudes that like,
they have to work
yeah,
to keep
like
them busy,
don't give me a fucking keyboard. No, I need to work with my hands. He was one of those people. And he was a knucklehead when he was younger. And doing that, like, I mean, he just paved like a really good path for himself. He's making really, really good money. But the thing that when you work in those industries, they're really hard on your body, right? And he was pretty young. I mean, must have been like 22 or something like that. And most of the people that he works with are older cats. You know, they've been doing this shit for like 30 years. And once, you know, you go through all that shit with your body, you go to the doctor, they're like, Percocets all day, you know, like for that ache and stuff like that. So a lot of these...
your bones hurt. Here, have some Vicodin.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And the thing with those is that your body adapts to them super quick.
Well, you get
right?
used to that floating
Yeah.
feeling of not feeling anything. And then before you know it, now you require 2.
Yeah.
Because the 1 isn't doing it. Then 2 turns into 4. And before you know it, now you have a substance abuse issue.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking sad. But
It
it's
is.
true.
And so, you know, all these older cats that he was working with, you know, they have all that stuff. And so, you know, it started with my buddy just like, oh man, my shoulder. And, you know, one of their coworkers, bro, take one of these, feel good. And he was like, yeah, great. How can I get some? Oh, we can hook you up. And all of a sudden, now he's just taking them to work. Now he likes the feeling of being floaty while he's fucking working, right? And now he's in jail for robbing a fucking workshop and stealing all their tools.
Because he needed to supply that habit.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong with most of America.
Yeah, you know, and it's so fucked up because...
Once again, back to these pharmaceutical companies profiting when other people are suffering. It's like, where do you draw the line?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it okay for this, but not okay for this?
Money.
Yeah, you know, and it's all profit. It's all corporate profit.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that your stuff is not.
Yeah, I mean, you'll feel a little bit of a body high, but...
At least I'm not going to hold up a repair shop and steal it for...
You will not.
Though these are good enough where it might. These are good enough where it might.
Please don't. If it comes down to that, you let me know.
No, if it does come to that, are you kidding me? This would be great. Talking about your brand, this would be great. Like, I guarantee you, if I get caught up and I'm fucking stealing tools off a repair shop because of your teas...
I did it for the tea.
No, I'm going to make sure that when fucking the report is out, and by the way, shout out to, what's your Instagram?
Magia.
Yeah. Follow, subscribe.
You're all holding the bottle.
Yeah. It's some good shit, y'all. See you in 20 years.
The tea made me do it.
Oh my God.
All bad.
But, by the way, you found your footing in with this. How are your coworkers doing? And hopefully former coworkers, because hopefully it's going to be a full-time thing, and I'm going to see it in Whole Foods and
I mean, my coworkers, they've all transitioned to, like I said, you know, you have some on OnlyFans.
What are strippers doing like on their off time?
You have some on OnlyFans. You have bartenders who have found other jobs bartending. Everybody's kind of dispersed, I guess you can say, and some people started their own businesses like I have, and some people have found other places of employment. Now that outdoor dining is back open, a lot of people have found, you know, waitressing, bartending.
You know, I never once did I shed a tear for a stripper during COVID. You know why?
Why?
Because they're full-time hustlers. Are you kidding me? There was no way they were going to go hungry. There was no way they were gonna go hungry. They'll find something, for sure.
Yeah. That you don't ever shake that hustle.
Yeah. Most of
you were selling nothing. You were selling an imagination. You were selling. This is something I say all the time. It's like you were selling something invisible and non-existent. Therefore, you can sell anything.
Pretty much. I mean, oh man, you know what? Strippers make best wing men.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wing women. It sounds weird saying that.
Yeah.
Because they're all about the hustle. They're like, oh, we can get you this.
Yeah,
Don't worry
like,
about
no
it.
problem.
Yeah. No, but that's really cool. Like I said, like they're just not, because you got to be, right? I feel like if you're not, you don't make it in that industry for too long, right?
You don't. That industry alone will swallow you up and spit you out.
What do you think? I mean, you said like you really loved working in that. How is it?
I love the industry, honestly.
Yeah?
Like I love it.
Because so
you get to meet people come from very different walks of life, different age groups, different desires, different needs, different personal stories. You get to have these conversations with people that in your normal everyday life you would not meet. You would not. You're somewhat of a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it be dancers or bartenders in that environment, these people come in with this need to talk about things that are happening in their everyday lives that they can't necessarily talk to people who are involved in their everyday life. Whether it be for whatever reasons it is, but they come into that establishment with this need to relax and to let things go and to be in that moment. And sometimes after a couple drinks, they want to talk about these things. So bartenders and dancers become this way of therapy for these guys or for these women or for these couples that come in. And so it really is a very therapeutic thing. I think society has made this environment out to be something negative, and it really isn't. Yes, there are things like
my job pays for therapy sessions. This is good to know.
Yeah, there you go. Titty bar, here you come. No. But like people really have a lot sometimes, and they're trying to find ways to cope with things. And sometimes this establishment or establishments like that tend to be the best places for people to get comfortable. And
what do you think that is?
I think alcohol helps. I think the feeling, I think dancers and bartenders in that environment tend to be a little bit more of a listening ear. And yes, a lot of that is triggered by profit.
Yeah.
But I mean, so is regular therapy.
Yeah, that's on their end, but like on the person's end,
but so is regular therapy.
I
mean, if I'm going to go see a therapist, I want to see a half-naked one.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So
that should be the motto for everything.
Half-naked one is better.
I'm going to go to Starbucks. I want to go to half-naked Starbucks.
Yeah, then you go to Westminster.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I didn't even put those two together, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I just feel like people tend to feel more comfortable in that environment.
Yeah.
So it allows them to open up a little bit more and to share their life with you. And yes, it is fueled by profit, but everything is. So if you're going to pay somebody to hear your stories or to comfort you or to, I mean, why not? But I think society has really turned that environment or that lifestyle or whatever into a negative thing.
Oh, really? I was gonna say like, hey, what do you think about, at least from my perception, that society now has flipped upside down about that, where us growing up, it was just like,
more accepted now because there is like 5 in every city. Okay. Especially if you live in California. California tends to be one of those places where you can't, I mean, in Long Beach alone, how many strip clubs are there? You can go to every city and find multiple strip clubs. So it is more accepting and more open in certain areas, but that doesn't mean that society still has this like okay thing with it. Society still puts on this little stamp of like, it's inappropriate, you're cheating, you're doing this, it's bad. What are you doing there when you have that? Like it, and for a lot of relationships, it's not about, a lot of the girls don't go home with these guys.
Right.
You're not leaving with them. You're sitting there talking about their problems. They're getting drunk. Then they go home and deal with their own shit. What happens
Another day
there?
at the office.
Yeah, but people have this like perception of like strip clubs bad. You're cheating. You're leaving with these girls. They're doing these things.
Yeah.
And yes, there are a handful of girls who, you know.
Yeah,
bottom of
you're always
the
going to
barrel
find
will
that
do
anywhere.
anything for $1.
Yeah.
You will find those, you know. But for the most part, it's not like that.
Mm-hmm. And were you fairly young when you started working there?
I was 18 when
18. Oh, shit. Man. So I have and by the way, if any of these you're just like, I don't want to talk about this, totally cool, okay? But like, I'm just picturing, because like I know 18 is like the age of being an adult, but like mentally, like it's not. It might be like 25, maybe still 40 in my case, but it's like, was that scary for you?
I actually did it as a bet, and it was very
Of
terrifying.
course. Okay, that makes so much sense.
It was very terrifying. I remember being like, "Oh my god, I can't do this. What am I doing?" Like,
So wait, so what happened? Were you with friends and they're like,
I have this group of friends that I grew up with and went to school with and whatnot, and they were like, "You can't do that. You would never do that. We know you better than that. You're not like that." Blah,
wait,
blah, blah.
did you bring it up like, thinking about doing
we
this?
went to Mexico and we were like in a strip club partying. I was 18. I mean, you can do that in Mexico.
Yeah.
And we had this amazing weekend full of hangovers and all kinds of bad choices and great choices. And came back and they were like, "You can never do that here because you just can't." And I was like, "What do you mean? I was naive and very, but I did have to grow up fast because, you know, where I grew up and my circumstances. So I was like, I could totally do that.
Mm-hmm.
I could not do that. Is what I learned. It took me a long time to get comfortable. I remember working at a place and the manager being like, "Take your time, whenever you're ready." And I remember being like, "I'm not going to be ready for this."
No, did you start off as a cocktail waitress?
No, I started off as a dancer.
Oh, right. Okay, right off the bat. Oh shit.
18 and over, nude club.
Because I thought there was like you can't just work your way up to the pole like that. You got to like start off as
I was supposed to do it one time as a bet, and that was it. Started off as a dancer. Eventually, I shifted over into like bartending, waitressing, stuff like that, other places. But that's how I started off there, and that was terrifying. I mean, I didn't even know dancers need like a stage name. Like,
what was your stage name?
Mandy. But I had no idea. They were like, pick a name, and I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "It's a name," and I was like, "I don't understand."
Why do they do that, by the way?
For safety and.
Oh, so people can't just stalk you and shit. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but it was like, I was like, "What is that?" They're like, "It's a name," and I was like, "I don't understand the question." So it was I was very naive. Eventually, you know, they picked one for me.
I wonder nowadays if people put a lot of work into that. Like,
probably
a little
not.
Self-reflection. What
Probably
does really
not.
represent me?
No, because you have like sapphire.
Sapphire.
Diamond,
I was just gonna say sapphire.
Hennessy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jameson. I mean, you have
Like it.
Red.
Love it.
Yeah.
Not so much.
They're not very creative with their
Red.
names these days. They're like, "Oh, I'm wearing pink. I'm gonna be pink."
As you know, I've always wanted that job as on a weekend to be the DJ guy. I don't know, to be a DJ guy.
Yeah,
And be
it's
like,
not all.
it's not, but it's just something to check off.
Yeah, a bucket list.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you got to work on that.
I'll get your coaching. I'll get your coaching on that.
Next time.
Welcome, everybody. Let's give it up for Hennessy.
Yeah, no, you're getting close.
It's getting there. See, I just need to go more often so I can get it down.
Keep drinking.
And the DJ is always big. Actually, I think
no. So I've met some of the smallest DJs where you're like, what? You barely see them over the little microphone. And you're like,
I thought they always did that just in case shit got out of hand.
Yeah. And then they come out and they're like barely above the bar, and you're like, what the hell?
So the thing is that you did it on a bet, right? But you must have just said, "Oh, this is kind of cool," at some point to keep doing it.
Well, I did it on a bet, and I made so much money on the bet, and then on top of that I was like, oh, this is like, who doesn't want to make $1,000 in a day?
Yeah.
Like, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And you're not really required to do much. Like, you're portraying this dream and this fantasy for people that is like I said, non-existent. So you're just portraying this like dream for these people, and then it's over in 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes. It ends, you know. So it's not. Yeah.
Is so, and so you eventually like kept doing it. You were just like, okay, so like the money's good and stuff like that.
I think it also became the relationships became
like the people there.
People there. Like I've known some people for 10, 15 years, and you're like you're not those friendships and those intimate details you share about each other's lives and those moments that they've got you through and you've got them through. You build these relationships that are more so of friendship.
You know, we're
it's like working in any bar.
Yeah, we're talking about this earlier about how like working in that environment. I feel like bars, clubs, and things like that. That you have certain people that gravitate to them, and like it's really good vibes for the most part. You know, hustlers, people that like are driven, like I don't know. I just feel like that's what I miss about bartending so much is working with the people. Like in, you know what I would love, and I'm sure you have this too.
I think the social aspect of it, which a lot of people lack nowadays because everybody's on their devices. Yeah. You don't really get that social interaction with those types of jobs like bartending or dancing. You get that social interaction. You're face to face with someone. You're having a full conversation. You're able to see their expressions. You're able to hear it in their voice. You're able to connect on a completely different level versus being like, oh, like I'm, you know, or people who do like these video chats. You don't really connect in that way.
You know, too, there's got to be something about, I'm wondering, like mentally, because something must go on, like developmental wise, like as far as like growing, because for the most part, you were taught like since you're little, you keep your clothes on. You know what I mean? Naked, bad.
Unless you live in my house, then no one does.
And you know, because damn pilgrims, again, you can't fucking show leg enough because you know you're gonna go to hell and stuff. But yeah, no, for the most part, you get clothes like, okay, you keep clothes. Anything else is indecent, right? It's the reason why I could be without a shirt and then you can't, right? You go to jail and shit. But there's got to be something about that, some growth that happens where you feel comfortable being naked around people. Did that? Because I know you're saying that like it took a while and stuff like that. You felt uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, I think you start off with this mindset of like, oh, it's inappropriate, it's wrong. Why am I like? And then you realize like I'm comfortable in my own skin. Why is it that I should be uncomfortable, but everybody else can be comfortable? Yeah. Like what separates women from being? Why should women feel uncomfortable in their skin, but men can walk around with their shirt and feel confident and feel superior?
Well, not even,
or feel masculine, and it's okay and it's welcoming for somebody else to do it. But the minute a girl wears a revealing bathing suit or revealing something, it's inappropriate because men can't keep their shit together. That's but even, not our problem.
Right. True. But even that, like, what about like the body stuff? Like, oh, like, was it hard? Like, oh, do I have like cellulite? Or like, oh, like love handle or anything like that?
In that environment, people really don't care. Like, there's
I'm sure
somebody
people,
for everyone.
Yeah, but like for yourself, you didn't go through that, like.
I think
because it's one thing is like what they perceive, right? Because guys,
I think every girl goes through that, whether they work in that environment or not. You go through that, like, oh, am I wearing these shorts too short? And you can see a little bit of something. But I mean, you eventually, like in that environment, you learn to be body positive. You learn that, like, yeah, we all got a little bit of stretch marks. Yeah, I have kids. People, especially a lot of guys that come into those environments, they have wives at home. They have girlfriends who have kids with them. This is not the female body in all of its glory with its stretch marks or with its cellulite. It's not like something that people are not used to seeing.
You know what's it's funny that you mentioned that, because I, a couple of recent years, started hearing that a lot about body positivity. And it's funny that you mentioned that because my first thought when I first started hearing that was like, man, strippers been doing this shit forever. Like the body positivity, because like how you said, there's something for everybody, right? And everybody
really
feels
is.
like their own value. It's like, oh, some people like small titties, some people
You'll
like big
find
titties.
a guy
Some,
that will come
yeah.
in who wants somebody's flat chested with nothing, and that's okay.
yeah,
That's not his type. Is not someone with large breast and a big ass.
yeah.
That's just everybody has their type.
Somebody's like, I want you to look homeless.
yeah, and I'm like, I got that.
Yeah, and then some people are like, I want Kim Kardashian look like, you know, it's like
Yeah.
there's something for everybody. Yeah, it was fucking really cool. So I remember there used to be this strip club in, I want to say it's Long Beach, but it could be like Lakewood or something like that. It was a black strip club, right? And my buddy Michael Williams, God bless him, I wonder where he's at now, but he was like, Los, have you ever been to a black strip club? I'm like, no, man. Usually the strip clubs I club, there's black girls in there, but they rotate, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, no, you got to go to a black strip club, bro. I'm like Atlanta? He's like, yeah, like Atlanta, but here. I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. So we go over there, and
I want to go now.
it's closed. It's closed. It sucks. But
Do you know what it was called?
no, I don't remember. I'll try to find out though. But I was just like, oh, this is a trip. I've never, because this had big girls in it too, like big girls. And I think that was my first time seeing like a big girl stripper, you know, but my buddy, he goes there all the time. So he knew all the girls, right? And it was such a blast and all that shit. And what you were talking about, body positivity, that's all I felt towards like all the girls and stuff like that. Are like, oh no, she kills it up there. You know, talking about like, the big girl and stuff like that. There was just so much like,
well, that's what it's like.
camaraderie.
It's like everyone goes to a dressing room in a strip club, and people are like, "Oh, this looks good. That looks good." Like everyone's very much so like positive about things. Like you know what I mean? Everyone's like, "Oh, you're doing great," or "You did great on stage," or "This was like, oh my god, I wish I could do." Like you're around people like that. It's like a sisterhood of like.
Yeah, you know, because me being the asshole, right? I was like, oh, this has to be a very interesting place to work at. Like, why? Fuck the being nude shit. Fucking this many girls working together. That sounds like.
Oh my god, it does get catty. You'll have your handful of haters where you're just like, why? Like it doesn't, like you leave here and you go back to your normal everyday life.
Yeah.
And the things that happen there don't affect you. So when you have people who are like big haters or like talk a lot of crap, or you're just like, it's irrelevant. All of that information is irrelevant because you go home and you still live your normal you don't take this home with you.
Yeah.
All of this stays in these walls.
Would you guys haze newbies?
No, we didn't.
So missed opportunity.
We're no fun. Yeah, we're no fun.
Would you pawn them on that like, oh, she's new. Give him John, because John's a fucking.
Some people would do stuff like that, like or like if a girl would go up to a certain guy that was really gross or inappropriate or just said vulgar things.
Yeah.
Everyone in the club knew to stay away from because he was just vile.
Imagine being the guy at the strip club where the girls are like lap dance, skip over, lap dance.
Oh my god, it happens like all the time. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. It's even worse when you see him in public. You're like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What is the worst type of stripper guy at a strip club?
Someone cheap.
Cheap.
Someone cheap. Someone who doesn't understand what they're going in there for. No one. I would never walk into a strip club without money. So why would a man?
So someone cheap, like in what sense? Like doesn't
Cheap
tip good or?
Cheap in the sense that they want your time, but they don't want to pay for your time.
Oh, like when girls sit next to you and
they
like.
want to come to a bar and order a bucket of beer and not tip for the bucket.
That's stupid.
That's cheap.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, I just opened all the beers for you, served you the beer, got you the extra things of lime that you requested while I'm also busy at the bar.
Okay.
And now I've handed you the bucket, and you're choosing to not tip me, and you're going to walk away and pretend nothing just happened. You wouldn't do that in a regular bar.
Yeah.
So the fact that cheap guys feel they can get away with that.
Yeah, because I feel like there's definitely like a spectrum of guys, and they can range from being really fucking cool to like being pieces of shit, right?
Yeah.
Look with anybody, but you know, especially like in a place like a strip club, like me personally, I just like to, you know, go there with friends. It's chill. It's fucking a good time. Everybody, it's a party.
Yeah.
It's a fucking party, right?
Everyone's having fun.
Yeah.
Everyone's drunk. It's a good time. Then you go home.
And you know, there's but you know, there's definitely that in the spectrum of guys where the guy's like, yeah, like take this dollar bill from your mouth. You know what I mean? Like just like really.
It's that really, like you want me to do all this work for your $1, like
exactly. When
yeah.
they probably make more money than you, right?
You're just like, what? So like, yeah, you have those cheap guys who think that they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
It's also the same guys that go to Mexico and want who knows what for $10.
Yeah.
So you have those people who are like, I'm doing you a favor, when you're like, no, you're not doing me a favor. So I think as like a dancer or a bartender, you need to step back. You have to have like your foot, you know.
Yeah, like how do
you have to really place your foot where it needs to be placed and set those ground rules for this is not how you treat me.
Yeah.
And you move forward from that.
Talk about, you know, like I said, like me not shedding a tear for strippers about because like how good they are at what they do. I mean, that job kind of like prepares you for a lot of fucking crazy shit because when a stripper tells you no touching and you try to touch, holy shit, you're in a world of trouble.
You're probably going to lose a couple fingers.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You might get slapped.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you, what's got to be hard is changing a guy's mentality, you know, because a guy goes there and like a fucking kid in a candy store. It's like, oh, I'm going to fuck all these bitches. Yeah. When that's obviously not the case if you've ever been to a strip club. But like, how, you know, how is it that like a girl can just like be like, boom, kill that so quick? Because they're so good at it.
Because we're so good at
because you have to do it
every
pro.
Because we're bitches.
Yeah.
We are good at killing every mood. Whether we're married to you, we live with you, you're a friend. We're good at that. We kill moods. We're mood killers. So we have the ability to kill that mood.
But mood makers as well.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
And so, you know what I love? Going back to like what I was saying about how like with COVID, like I found out all these things about friends that I never knew before. This makes, like I said, this makes me so happy because I just, you know, I knew you as the fun, feisty, for sure. Just somebody that you want to party with and like hang out with, and it's always a good timing.
Everybody has known me as that.
You've always been super sweet. You don't remember this. I don't think you remember this, but the first time I met you, I'd come from a party, and I think Mike. He's like, oh yeah, we're partying over at the house. It was like Garden Grove.
Oh yes.
Right. And I go there and like we're chilling in his little man cave, right? The pool table.
Yes.
And
the dancing pool table
yeah,
that was not used for pool but for dancing on like a stage. Yes.
Exactly. And that's the first time I'd met you. And I was wearing a shirt that a friend gifted me. It was like an anime shirt, right? But I was wearing a jacket over it, right? The whole time where I was at the bar, right? So I look cute, you know? Okay. I look cute. But then it was so fucking hot in that room, in that man cave, because all the people in it and stuff. And plus, like,
because it was like an add-on room with no insulation.
Yeah, no insulation. And so I was drunk. Everybody was drunk. And I take off the jacket. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, this is tight. I didn't realize how tight it was. And I think towards the end of the night, passing out, I said something like, don't look at me, right to you. And you're like, why? I'm like, because I look like a sausage. Because the shirt was so tight. I'm like, don't look at me because it looked like a sausage. You're like, what? It's like, look at me. It's so tight. I'm a hot dog. I'm an ugly hot dog. Oh my God. And then you were like, no, you're not. You're beautiful. And after that, I was like, oh, the next day, I remember like, did that really happen? And I was like, oh, she's good people. She's fucking good people. But,
yeah, everyone always knew me as the crazy, like, wild.
You're a wild child for sure. You're a wild child for sure.
And like, dancing with random people. I can't tell you how many like 80-year-old men I've danced with in my lifetime. Like,
Write a book. Have you thought about
honestly,
writing a book?
I've thought about it. Yeah, I always find like when you go to the bar or a club or something, you just see that like 60 to 80-year-old drunk guy, lonely, dancing by himself. I think it is the cutest yet saddest thing, and I'm like, why does no one want to give him a chance? He's just trying to live and dance, and like, I'm always that girl. I'm always that girl who's picking the old dude to dance with, and like, at least make his night a good night.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna go home and remember that for the next 10 years that he has left. Like, you gotta be like,
well,
you gotta be somebody's good moment.
Well, thank you for taking pity on me with my sausage shirt.
You're welcome.
But really,
I like sausages.
but really, no, honestly, like, let's wrap this up. But like I mentioned earlier, I was expecting it to, taste good. It's taste homemade. I definitely did not think that it was going to taste as pro as it does. Like, I really hope that you keep doing this. I said, I hope that it gets bigger, as big as you want it to be or whatnot. It goes in Whole Foods, Gelson's, and I'm gonna subscribe to the.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try to do it weekly. Like, I just wish I could go to the store and buy them. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could just buy like a pack and stuff like that. They're so good.
I know.
But I love what you're doing, and I appreciate you coming down here from Monterey Park. And next time, let's do this again, but let's do shrooms or something crazy.
Let's do something fun.
Yeah, because now you've tamed down. As we're getting older, now we just have to. We can even microdose if you want, since you love that shit. But anyway, cheers, and thank you so much. Okay, it was fun, right?